And she's like, this is just so scary. Like, I'm like, babe, none of this is real. Like, demons are make-believe. It's fine. She's like, no, they're not. They are real. They're real. And I was like, no, they're not. Watch this. Satan, come into my heart. I am an open vessel. Use me as you will. and said shit like that. And she was like slapping me my shoulder, like, stop it! Stop inviting Satan into your heart. And I'm like, oh, Lord of Darkness, come inside. Seize my body. Make me your will. And I was doing shit like that. And she was not enthused. It it scared the shit out of her.
That's when you needed like half an Alka-Seltzer to pop in your mouth. And then just like fucking seize up, hit the floor, go into a seizure and start foaming at the mouth. And then just pop up and just look around like all creepy and walk out of the house.
Ask her what happened.
Or just be like say I was joking and like 5 minutes later, just in the middle of the movie, be like... that kind of shit. Yeah, that made me laugh so fucking hard.
Where's the knife drawer? What?
Do you want to know how Satan got into my heart? I invited him, and I'm the Joker now.
It is episode 666. I want to talk about some spooky things. So, as far as demons know, your demon knowledge, Wendigoon.
Yes,
you've looked into it a ton. What's like an indicator to you when you're reading a demon story that you're like, this is made up, this is fake? And what are the ones that get you like, oh, I kind of buy this. I think this could be a real one.
So the thing that's like, as someone who like, believes in it, like I'm a Christian, I'm not like some levels of religious Christians will get to where it's like recently I covered a video game called Faith that revolves demons, and talking to the creator, he's like, yeah, I get emails all the time from people who think if you put like a pentagram in a game, you're going to hell. Like, obviously that's not the level I'm at. Yeah. You've seen the content I cover. But as far as like reading stories about demonology or whatever, it's typically the theatrics of it. For that same reason, I believe possessions can happen, but I believe that like 99% of them are fake. Because a demon's MO, or like within Christianity, right? Like the devil's MO isn't to scare people or be weird and strange. Like he's not just creeping around like, hoo-ha, they're going to be so afraid of this one. That's what most like demon stories revolve around. It's just to divert people. It's just to point them away from God or Christianity or what have you. Most examples of demonic influence throughout like the Bible or old like, religious traditions aren't even people who are like, frothing at the mouth, possessed, yelling obscenities. That's not even what they do. Most of what they do is just being like leaders, people who will, take the poor and the hungry and push them back to some righteous way until eventually bringing them into cult activities or what have you. I would say that in my belief, there's a lot more possessed people in places of power or what have you than there are like, satanic cult members. Like the Church of Satan and the Satanic Bible, and that's just poser stuff. That's all a joke. But the real stuff, so to speak, is just manipulation.
$50 wasted.
Yeah.
Lifetime membership fee for Kyle. There's like Rube.
I pay dues, god damn it. This is horse shit.
The one thing that like I've researched lately, there's kind of a white whale for me in demonology of like something that I think would make a really cool video that I think I could dissect, but I'm a little afraid to. Is this thing called the Lesser Key of Solomon. Are you familiar with it? Is anyone familiar with it? So
I think I have heard of this, yes.
Yeah, so the Lesser Key of Solomon is a book that was its final version, like the version that exists now was assembled around like 1720, like just pre-America or government America. But the writings of it supposedly trace all the way back to like 800, 900 BC. So in the original like Judaism lore, and by extension Christianity, but primarily Judaism, when Solomon, the son of King David, built the temple in Jerusalem, he used all of his wisdom and power to do it. It's believed in most Abrahamic religions that Solomon was the wisest man who ever lived because he asked the Lord for wisdom, the Lord gave him wisdom, blah, blah, blah. So Solomon, being the wisest man who ever lived, was able to use a lot of powers of spirituality to build the temple. And again, in Judaism, it's believed, maybe not in their canon, but at least in, Judaism adjacent beliefs, that he effectively enslaved several demons to commission the building of the temple. That's how the temple was built in record time. There's all this weird stuff with the temple, like the geometry of it is so perfectly done, like the way the walls are cut. It doesn't make sense for something done, in BC time period. It's like an architectural marvel for the time that it was built. So one of the beliefs is that he used demons to do that. The Lesser Key of Solomon was supposedly assembled by his workers, or the human workers at least, in the construction of the temple. The Masons, as they were called, which is where the Freemasons eventually get their name. They use a lot of the symbols and stuff from Solomon's builders. And there's whole connections between demonology and Freemasonry. That's another can of worms. But with the construction of Solomon's temple, it's believed that perhaps he enslaved demons. So a book called The Lesser Key of Solomon is the traditional beliefs of supposedly how Solomon managed to enslave these demons. So it is a book that is made up of 72 different demons that describes their name, their MO, what they do, what they look like, how they appear, as well as summoning rituals. So like the things you're supposed to draw, the things you have to do to bring them in. And going back to what I mentioned earlier of like the thing that tips me off demon stories are fake is the theatrics of it. The way that like you summon most of the demons in this book is like, forget to pray for a day. Or yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is so much more menacing than just like, oh, dude, cut yourself and draw blood or whatever.
I need a bunch of chickens and
exactly. It'll be like, forget to pray for a day, or don't spend any money today. Instead, leave it near your bed, or like put the money under your bed, or stuff like that. Like these subtle things that you don't think about at once, but it slowly lulls you into this idea of either self-reliance or trusting a demon in some sense. Stop looking to God for all your answers. Just, you can take care of yourself. You should be looking to yourself for answers. And then by the end of it, it gives you summoning rituals and what you can ask of these demons. So there's some that will give you wealth. There's some that will give you love. And again, the most demonic stories in pop culture are around, oh, this demon wants to damn your soul to hell. They want to curse you and blah, blah, blah. But again, the way it's normally given throughout Christianity's lore is they want to give you good things. They want you to trust them. They want you to come over to their side because their ultimate goal is to point you away from what's true and holy. So because of that, there's nothing in the Lesser Key of Solomon that says, and if you do this, your house will burn down, or you have to sacrifice your firstborn. It's all like, you'll get money, and then everything will be good. Look at that. You did it yourself. And because of that, it is the most menacing. It scares me so much. The concepts of it, it bothers me. Because, like, yeah, you hear all these stories, like you on YouTube, how many, summoning the devil at 3 a.m. videos, whatever. Like, all those are clearly fake. But if someone was to do like a Lesser Key of Solomon, they're like, oh, look at that. My stocks went up this week. How lovely. Absolutely not. It terrifies me. So I've thought about doing a video on that. But again, as someone who truly does believe in it, at least to a degree, I am so afraid of like being like, okay, hey kids, so this is the demon's name, and here's his sigil. Be sure to draw this on your bathtub or whatever. Like, yeah. But yeah,
the power that a demon could have through you with your audience.
Exactly.
You could put something out there that was seemingly innocuous and get thousands of people around the world to do it. Rituals, incantations, all sorts of things, sacrifices.
Yeah. He's already made me decide to spend money every day.
Yeah. I haven't remembered to pray in a minute. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little worried about that. Look, the thing is, if there was a demon out there, like I like the Crossroads demons analogy or not example, and Supernatural. Basically, you go somewhere to the crossroads at midnight on wherever the fuck. Demon's going to show up, make a bargain with this guy. Sort of thing like, save my baby's life. And he's like, all right, but I get your soul in 40 years. That sort of thing. If that were available, there'd be a line. There'd be a line. There'd be a line of people TikToking their deals. Right?
Absolutely. Like, yeah.
There would be a reality show where the devil could make his own reality show with horns and like hell in the background. Here's last season's losers, and they're back there screaming in eternal flames, and people would come right on the show and try.
That's terrible. Like basic macroeconomics tells us that as you increase the supply, right, this line, that the deals they strike will get worse and worse. You'll be trading your soul for like a tank of gas.
It's a tank of gas that
economy's
never runs
getting tough,
out.
Woody. You can't-
Yeah, I got had by the Crossroads demon because of soul inflation.
Eventually, they shut off the markets because the supply of souls is too much, and they don't need to intake anymore. You know, the exporting's already enough of a hassle. It's
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the demonic Fed is raising rates.
you can have you can only have so many people who are rulers of the world. You know, so like that's getting complicated.
Yeah, you got the demons have to be like, who wants something like less, like way less. Like we'll take
Senator,
a portion.
State senator. I got plenty of souls around here.
State senator.
I'm a
In
senator.
Wyoming.
Anytime, just let me know. We've got a couple positions we can fill out. Midwest states, if you're cool with that.
Kentucky's about to open up, I think.
Yeah.
You can be the president. Hear me out. Somalia. No, I'd rather be a middle class person.
First
here.
president of Somalia.
Dude, well, what I'm learning from this, you're saying the demons, they aren't traditionally scary in that way, which actually checks out with Christianity. Like they want to imbue you with pride or one of the sins of thinking you can get ahead. But they also help people. They do things like curing the blind by the thousands, curing the deaf by the thousands.
The deaf,
curing the deaf, yes.
The deaf.
So does that make you give any more thought to the Mr. Mark of the Beast theory?
Oh, yeah. Wait, Mr. Mark of the Beast? You're talking about the Mark of the Beast from Revelations, right?
Yes, with Mr. Beast. You've seen those people on... Yeah, Mr. Mark of the Beast. Have you seen those people on...
I did
Have
not.
you
I
had
should
your
have
chocolate
picked...
yet? Have you taken it into your body yet?
Have you
The
seen
body
those
of
people on
Mr.
Twitter?
Beast.
There's a bunch of people on Twitter who are...
I should have
convinced
known that's
he's
where
the
that was
Antichrist.
going, but that blindsided me. Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, there's a lot of people online that are convinced that he's trying to pull the wool over people's eyes by pulling the wool off of their eyes.
It's interesting. No, I won't say to Mr. Beast specifically, but
I don't think so.
that man, I have to give a good transition before I talk about this, or else it could get clipped so easily.
Yeah.
But not Mr. Beast, but insert another person is similar to a lot of Christian ideas around like the Antichrist, right? Like the purpose of the Antichrist is to unite the nations. It's not that the devil needs to win, he just needs God to lose, right? That's his whole purpose. So like for one, the devil's a losing battle. The devil knows it's a losing battle. He's just trying to get as many souls as he can while he's there. And what's the better way to get people's souls? By, tormenting them, making their necks spin around and like float off beds, or to be an administrator of wealth and, knowledge, prosperity, what have you.
Sure.
And it's interesting to see like the shift that had, because previous to, I would say, Enlightenment era, all stories around demonic activity were about that. It was always about like deals with the devil that were made, of like the devil was portrayed as like a false member of the clergy, or perhaps a ruler or a king who'd come to people and give them, wealth and wisdom. The stories like Faust, capitalize on a lot of those legends. But then after the Enlightenment era, in time where it like the religious tone shifted from God being prosperous, the devil being prosperous, but God being a true prosper in like the afterlife. Once it shifted to these kind of black and white ideas of good and evil, like the devil, pitchfork, horns, going around trying to torment people. Once that cultural idea shifted, then our stories around the devil shifted. It went from, kind of this person who wants to give you what you want into someone trying to trick you, or someone nefarious looking to cause harm or kill as many people as he can. But again, to Christianity and Judaism, that's not his MO. That's not what he's trying to do.
I can believe that about the devil. That makes sense. If you've got some sort of figurehead, he's got his own plans.
Yeah.
But what about a rogue demon? That seems more interesting to me.
So that's an interesting point, and something I think about a lot with these things, because there, again, a lot of the stories in the Bible around demon, like he's described, or around the devil, Satan's described as the morning star, right? He's described as beautiful, conniving, wise, and stuff like that. But there's also stories about unwise demons, seem like you said, rogue demons, just their own things. Like, for example, the story of the maniac from Gader. He was a guy said to be possessed by thousands of demons, and he would wander the tombs himself. He had broken chains because the people of the village tried to chain him, and he would snap the chains and run into the countryside. And whenever he approached Jesus, and Jesus looked at him and he fell to the ground, Jesus said, "Who art thou?" And the maniac replied,
Legion.
"We are legion, for we are many." Yeah, which is where that's why that line gets pulled into every, demonic story or whatever.
Mhm.
And it says that Jesus banished the demons from him, and the demons went into swine that were in the countryside, and the swine ran off a cliff like they were crazed. So that's very different from the conniving, dealing devil. That's just like wild
That's
animals.
what Constantine does. If you watch the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves, now I'm sure
Mhm.
they made this shit up for the fucking movie. They're like, so maybe we just throw the demon in like a pig and then kill the pig. No, they threw it in a mirror and then shattered the mirror. I
Mm.
saw a movie recently with who used to the Gladiator guy. He's fat now.
Simon
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe made this movie like this year called The Pope's Exorcist.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's
Yep.
based on probably the last official Catholic exorcist or whatever. Probably. I don't know. But it's it's a silly movie. But at one point he takes the demon and puts it in a pig and then kills the pig. And I can't remember if it was a real demon or if it was just to go through the ritual for the
Yeah.
mentally ill kid there. I can't remember if they said which it was, but I like both of those ideas a lot. I like the idea that we could maybe, and that's what happens in The Exorcist. Spoiler alert: his father Karras, was it? Like lets the demon into his body and then throws himself
Flies
out the window.
Yeah.
Did he throw himself out, or did the demon throw the body out because it couldn't stand to be within the pure body of the priest?
I think the demon
that's an
threw his
interesting
body
point.
out.
It
but
couldn't
I don't know.
cohabitate in a body, so that also had God in it, perhaps.
Yeah.
Those
I like
pigs,
to believe that.
ran
Because
off the-
Pazuzu shows up in the sequels, right? So then canonically it would be
Well-
that the demon threw him out.
What's his name? Blatty is the writer, I think.
Mhm.
He's got three names: William Blatty or whatever the fuck. Exorcist 3 is the true kind of sequel.
Yeah,
if you've
yeah.
ever seen that, it's tremendous. It's
It's a
very
good movie.
good.
Good movie.
Yeah, and I don't know. The demon, of course, wouldn't tell you whether he lost or won in the first movie, I suppose. But if you know what happened, it seems like he pretty much won.
The priest
Yeah.
is dead, the demon isn't.
Yeah, and
But,
the priest suffers for all that time, like this, just having to watch behind the eyes as he kills children and
Yeah.
does all
yeah.
sorts of horrible things.
Are there any world leaders now, maybe of religious groups or whatever, that you look at and you're a little wary of? You seem a little
Taylor Swift,
demonic. You think Taylor Swift? She does have a
the leader
good
of the biggest
reputation.
religious
She did
organization
the
that I'm
thing.
aware
She did
of.
the thing.
Did she?
Wait, what does that thing mean, Wendy?
Oh, that's just Illuminati or the
That means
goat's
she's
head
gonna
for
eat
the
that
show a lot,
redhead
yeah.
from Game of Thrones' pussy. That's what that means.
I
She's
was
stolen
mixing it
her
up
away
with
from
Kyle. I thought that was the
Jonas
vagina sign.
brother.
I see it's slightly different.
I thought it was
Only slightly.
yes,
what
because
it
it's
is.
evil. Because ox is dangerous.
It
Brings
is
the
actually
devil.
What is a
interesting.
Swiftie?
It is interesting how much in old folklore that I know we're joking about it, but in a lot of old folklore it was explicitly described as demonic. It's an evil. It's part of women's curse, of Eve, that a part of the devil is embedded with her. There's a lot of imagery around this being explicitly demonic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's no good.
We've all
Shucks.
seen Alien. Okay. And we know that
Mhm.
vaginas are bad. They mean death.
What about the Pope? What's he up to? Do we need to keep an eye on him?
I'm not a big fan of Catholicism. I mean, I've been open about this before. I'm not a
Yeah.
big fan of Catholicism. I don't like the idea of you have a religion and now you're all right, we got that whole God thing, but we can run it. Let's
Yeah.
put ourselves in charge, So, I wouldn't say demonic or anything. I think that Catholic beliefs still, at its core, align with Christianity as far as the beliefs of Jesus and redemption. It's everything after that I'm not a fan of. As far as, I think there's a ton of religious groups throughout history that I would describe, if not demonic, then demon adjacent. Whenever they take ideas of Christianity and completely flip them around. For example, Church of Satan, the Anton LaVey and all that, posers, jokes. It's they were just edgelords. The entire synopsis of the Satanic Bible is, if God real, why bad thing happen? that's their whole, that's all they got. So I'm not considering him some mastermind or whatever, but I think instead religious groups who have like taken like large groups of people and then been like, yeah, oh, you like God and Jesus, that's cool, but what if you did it this way? What if you changed a bit? Like, for example, I would say Jim Jones. I would definitely consider him adjacent. I would consider Ervil LeBaron. He was one of the early members of Mormonism who brought a bunch of people to the desert, ended up being a serial killer, like had his cult kill mass numbers of people.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'd say
When was that? I'm interested in that.
Ervil LeBaron.
Ervil Redenbacher. He's the popcorn guy.
I want to say it was. Hold on, let me just type it in. His name's Ervil LeBaron. People joke because if you take out the R, his name is Evil the Baron. Which it was like 1950s, 1960s it happened.
Do you personally have an experience that you think was supernatural or unexplained?
Yes, absolutely. And it's one of those ones that's it's not like anything super intense. It's very like almost like Ghost Adventures level, but I remember I was playing Manhunt with my buddies. We were probably 18 because we didn't stop doing that until college. I wish I could go back. I miss those days. But we had a neighborhood, like 6 houses that belonged to all of our families. And we would just play out in those backyards. And there was this one abandoned house that was right next to my buddy Tommy's place. And nobody ever went in the yard because it was trespassing and whatever. One night I decided I was going to hide back there. And I'd watch everybody kind of run past me. I'm like, all right, I'm definitely alone back here. And as I had been walking in to the backyard, there was a plastic lawn chair on the driveway. And I just remember like taking note of that and continuing along. I'm hiding in the corner and I'm looking into the opposite yard, not paying attention to what's behind me. And I just hear something, like scatter across the ground. I turn around behind me and the chair is like across the driveway. And also at this point, it occurred to me that it felt a little chillier than it had 5 minutes ago. And we all thought this house was haunted. We'd always kind of had that vibe about it. It was always very unsettling to be near it. And so, of course, I turn around and I'm like, I'll just tell the ghost to fuck off and go back to my business. So being 17, 18, that's exactly what I did. I yell, hey.
We went straight to ghost, not fox or cat.
Oh, yeah.
Or breeze.
It was way too big of a chair.
The breeze is adding up real. It's chilly.
It wasn't a breeze.
Exactly what I was
It wasn't
thinking.
a breeze. It got colder.
I got 3 votes.
But no, but that wasn't that. Why did that computer just turn on?
I don't mean to ruin
That
your story,
wasn't
but
the
Kyle,
primary
one
issue.
time I used to keep chapstick in my pocket, and then it wasn't there.
Fuck, demon.
Dude, Woody,
Well,
did I ever
the-
tell you dude, this happened just last night. I wasn't that tired.
Where's this going?
I closed my eyes for a split second. 10 hours went by.
Fuck, aliens.
Do you
explain
explain
that?
ghosts? I can't.
So we all laugh. We all think it's very funny.
Yes.
It's hopping to the ghost thing. The part is I yell fuck off to the ghost, and I to this day I swear it. I mean this. I heard every door in the house slam shut. And I
The
look
breeze, 4 for 4.
I look up in the window. I look up in the window in the very upper of the attic window, and I'm like, and I
You do not want to take this to court with me, sir.
I saw a person. I heard all the doors slam. That's the one that comes to mind first out of all of them.
I wish that
That's
I
a
had
spooky
seen something.
experience.
Yeah.
Like my whole childhood was spent watching supernatural,
Same.
like clickbait shit. Before there were clicks, all those Fox News shows that were like every commercial break, they were just about to show you Bigfoot's pussy. Like
Nazi aliens and
Yeah.
how true it definitely is.
I'm talking about before that. This is pre-cable. Or pre me having cable. This is when Fox would have these little like supernatural specials, and they talk about demons and ghosts and ghosts and whatnot. And
Demons
I
and goose.
wanted it. Yeah, demon gooses.
Yeah, goose.
So what you mean
nature's
is just
demons.
regular Canadian geese.
Like I'm
Yeah, those aren't
open to
horrible.
it. And if I ever seen anything, I would be open enough to it to be like, oh shit, I think that's a warlock. I think I just saw one. We got one now, but that's never happened. And I don't know, like I've been in like abandoned buildings, and I've spent so much time in the woods, like thousands of hours in the woods, and I've just never seen anything that I couldn't be like, Fox, The breeze.
Dude, my mind is
The breeze.
completely closed to ghosts. I think it's absolute bullshit that
100%
there's
closed.
never been one. I hereby challenge every ghost watching this show to come at me, you pussy fucks. Bring it, you ghost.
You know what? If I were
nothing
like
will happen.
If I were
But
like the way
don't-
you said that you
But not
yelled
with a
out
sports
like
injury, because that's
no, not with a sports
likely.
injury.
No, you have to do
Woody's
something
being
more
assaulted by orthopedic demons. Yeah, there's
Infested with them.
yeah, you need to chant the meniscus prayer so that you're safe. What I think you said that you like fuck you demon or ghost or whatever.
Yeah.
directly.
I think because that
Great.
is just gonna, if the ghost is real, it wants to upset you, it wants to scare you, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's not actually the way to do it. Is you don't shout them down. What does a demon not want? Some
Sex.
fucking loser who's like obsessed with demons. And so
Yeah.
like if you start acting like, oh, are you there, Lord Pale? Are you there, Lord Beelzebub? I was playing with my Ouija board and sacrificing cats, and then he's gonna be like, oh God. It's one of
Not a
these
fan.
ones. You know what?
It's
I'm
a
gonna find
fan.
someone easy to scare. It's a fan. Like that's
Be
the way
an
you would
annoying
actually
fan
handle
to
this.
your demon, and he'll be gone.
Yeah,
It's
hate it.
there's-
With the
there's
Ouija
a-
board.
Get in that demon's
Sign my
DMs.
soul.
Always be in his DMs, pestering him. Asking
Via
him-
Ouija.
Yeah, get a Ouija board. I remember as a kid, like, it's because like I went to church and stuff. My mom was like, "You can't play with the Ouija board," and it was never in my head like I want to play with it, because I remember even seeing like the Hasbro commercials being like, "That is the lamest toy.
Mhm.
There's no score. Why? How am I supposed to play this? Like, I don't care about that." But she was always like, "Don't you bring one of those home?" And I'm like, "It's not a problem. I have no money or ride. Like, I'm not gonna make it out. I'm 8." Like, and I
Where
remember,
did she
like,
think they-
I don't know. She would tell me like, "Don't play this at your friends' houses," and I'm like, "What sort of losers do you think I'm
Don't-
running with?"
What
Like,
year was
You're
this?
9 years old. Don't
this was
ever drive a
this
Ford.
was
home.
probably 1998. And so it was like in the middle of like they were saying that Pokemon was demonic at the time, and like
Yeah,
I
it
knew
was
that
the
was
90s
silly and
the
stupid.
90s religious
yeah,
right
the
bullshit
religious
that I
scare, all that nonsense.
Luckily, was born after.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I just always remember like in my head, I'm like, "Oh, those idiots thinking that Alakazam and Charizard are demonic." But in my head, always I was like, "But that Ouija board thing." They seem like really upset by this. It was like way later in life that I gave it more thought, and I was like, oh, it's like kids pretending. Like, or usually I would imagine the most mature child manipulating it for the fear of others. Right.
Yeah.
When I was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
college, they they would do little seances in the dorms and stuff. Someone would break out a Ouija board. I actually don't think I ever did one, but I'd hear about it and stuff. And the deal is like 6 people put their hand on that little Ouija thing.
Mm-hmm.
None of them claim to be the one that initiated it towards the letter, but it doesn't take much for one person to make the slightest movement on this thing and everyone else to think a spirit is moving it. And
Yeah. I did see something
with
like
Ouija
that.
boards, it's very much like a collective, like psychological thing where it starts moving in one direction. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's going here," and you just kind of all have the same response to it.
I remember
Yeah.
there's one guy who was on my swim team. His name was Dante, and they were asking this spirit questions about him, and all the answers were like the ones that would hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
And he was very hurt. It like it wrecked him. And to this day, I don't know if it wrecked him because he felt like the ghost had an issue with him, or my theory that he realized 6 people had an issue with him.
Yeah.
I'm going with theory number 2.
Yeah.
Theory number 2 seems a bit
Well,
more.
Although
Although
black
his
people
head,
believe in
not what
ghosts
really happened.
4 times more than their Caucasian partners.
We got to pump those numbers up, guys.
4 times more often black people believe in ghosts.
I'm just picturing a guy like, they're like, "Is Dante gay?" And he's like, "Ah, ah!" And the other people are like, "Oh no!" It's going towards yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like I saw the same thing. Like you're right with the pressure thing. It's got little tiny pressure points, so you're pushing down. You're not really pushing down. It'd be like 4 of us all trying to push down on an ice hockey puck on the ice all at once. It's gonna move.
Yeah.
Like it. There's no. It has to.
It had like
So-
little, not lubricated feet, but like, I don't know what to call them, Teflon feet.
Yeah.
Slippery.
Like
Yeah, a little glide.
Non-stick.
gliders. I like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
It just makes it prone to sort of moving around on the board.
No, I like
Yeah,
it.
I've never taken most of the stories I hear about Ouija boards too seriously. It's it's always been, and for me, my field of study, I went to school for medieval studies. I got a minor in religious studies, and kind of folklore and demonology and all of that has always been interesting to me. So that was something that I looked into a ton. And what I found was with a lot of the demonology stuff, the idea that just using a Ouija board is going to summon some sort of you're going to get Apollyon hanging out in your living room, doesn't really track with any of even the established demonology lore from thousands and thousands of years ago. But what does happen is if you go in there and you go in with somebody who has the intention of summoning something, that's where the possibility works its way in terms of the actual belief system behind this stuff. Intent is far more important in demonology than
if I thought I could raise a demon, I would.
But you don't really think you can. You don't really believe it. And so in the thought of people who studied demonology, they'd be like, well, you didn't want the demon.
That theory is often why I thought that my magic powers weren't working.
You didn't believe enough.
If I just believed more, I would fly. I'll try it again.
You're just a heretic.
No, I like that theory. I like that that's why magic doesn't work, except for a small group of people who are stupid enough to believe in magic. So all wizards are just morons.
Something interesting about the term demon and all of that. A lot of people have this Hollywood idea of what that means, that it's some sort of evil spirit, or I think in the TV show Supernatural, they make the argument that it's a human soul that's been twisted to be evil or promised some sort of power. In the Bible, the term demon doesn't actually, because there's no term for demon in Hebrew. You have to get into the Greek, the Septuagint, so the Greek translation of the Old Testament, or into the New Testament where they're also writing it down in Greek. And then you get the word daimon, which is the one that actually refers to this. And even in Greek mythology, this is a class between God and man. So in Judaism and Christianity, demons are usually referenced by a term similar to evil spirit. And what you come to conclude as you actually go in and make, these deeper readings of some of these, I don't want to call them esoteric, but some of the less upfront books, like in Genesis, it's very much God said, let there be light. And then you get to Deuteronomy or Numbers, where they start talking about the evil spirits and the princes and the abomination of Moab, Shamash. And what you start to discover is demons in the Bible are not this low powered thing. They're whole ass angels. They are fallen angels. So you have, for example, in Daniel, I think it's Daniel 10:14. This guy encounters an angel. Daniel encounters an angel, and the angel says, "Sorry, it took me so long to get here. I was held up by the Prince of Persia." And who he's talking about there is not Cyrus the Great. He's talking about the angel responsible for Persia, the Elohim responsible for Persia. So
I was going to guess Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's where I was headed.
And then what he says after that is that he was stuck there until the chief prince Michael came and helped him out. So there's all this really interesting lore in there about the interactions between angels and demons and the term prince that gets used. So what you find is a lot of people have this concept that demons are some sort of separate thing from angels. No, in the Bible, it says on multiple occasions that the demons, the evil spirits, are the princes of these other kingdoms. Yeah,
that always made sense to me because obviously, Satan was an angel who had fallen, and he had that big war with God. So, I mean, he had a bunch of angels, a third of the angels left with him or something like
Revelation.
That. So he loses and they all get cast down to hell and they become demons. But I don't know why they would look any different. But the thing I always liked, and I really enjoyed that miniseries on Netflix called Midnight Mass.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The quote from the Bible that that when you see them, you will be terrified. The Bible tells us this. So when they see that fucking angel / demon / vampire, they are fucking. It's oh my god, it's 8 feet tall and it looks like the devil. Yeah, we're all terrified. It has wings.
Almost every time they show up, it's be not afraid, and they're I'm fucking afraid right now.
I of all the made up things that I've read some of, the Bible's one of the more interesting of them. It's there's some good stuff in there. Everything else is based off of it, right? If you look at Tolkien was great with the elves and all the languages and the races that he invented with the dwarves and the fucking elves. But even his shit is based on the old text from the Bible, and that's based on some stuff Zoroastrianism before it.
Zoroastrianism is actually later.
Later than like
Judaism.
Jehovah.
Yeah, so Judaism. So there's a large amount of contention on this at the moment. When were the first books of the Old Testament written down? Because the oldest extant copies we have date to the Babylonian exile, so the 6th century BC. But a lot of the accounts that are conveyed in, for example, Exodus, talk about things that happened 600 years prior to that. I was doing some work in prep for the Weird Bible podcast, which is with Wendigoon, and I think I've accurately dated the Exodus to 1206 BC. Because there's mention of a solar eclipse. There's mention of.
I got a feeling you're the only one who thinks Zoroastrianism didn't come first.
No, I'm not. I'm not the only one who thinks that. But
me too.
So early.
I'll throw my hat in that ring.
The earliest. So it's similar to Judaism.
I'm going with Aiden to keep it even.
The earliest extant accounts of Zoroastrian belief date to about 600 BC, as do the earliest extant biblical accounts. Now, it is possible that because these two peoples, the two religions, the Jews and the Zoroastrians, both were part of the Persian Empire at that time.
You're telling me Mr. White in 10th grade may have misled me.
Yes.
Was lying through his teeth intentionally.
But it's the thing. So Zoroastrians traditionally will date their religion to be back to 2000 BC. But so will the Jews.
Of course,
and they're at the same point where they both have the artifacts, the documentation to back up to about 600 BC, but there was a little tablet discovered on Mount Ebal in Israel back in, I think it was February or March. And it has on it written, the curse of Jehovah be upon you, Jehovah curse you, all that. It's written in Hebrew. It's a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter copper tablet. And the thing, it's tentatively dated to about 1200 BC. In Deuteronomy,
and it's in the Bible.
Yeah, in Deuteronomy it says put a curse on Mount Ebal, which like the likelihood that this tablet that is this big, that somebody knew about that 600 years later and accurately put it in there, it seems very unlikely to me. And I'm not saying that Judaism is the oldest religion in the world or the first one in the world, but it's one of those things where you look at it and it's like, damn,
they got a good PR team.
That's old. Like
so I mean, I don't hear any Zoroastrians ever.
They're mostly in
like,
Persia. Yeah, they're mostly Iranian.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a dead religion. They didn't do that anymore.
No, there are still Zoroastrianisms out there. There's still Zoroastrians out there, and it's a fascinating religion. It's very cool. I think that Tolkien probably took a little bit from Zoroastrianism when he was writing the Silmarillion, because the story that you get in the Silmarillion is that Eru Ilúvatar was, singing the world into existence with all of his Valar and all that, and then Morgoth comes in with the discord, and he can't create of his own will, but he can twist the creations of Eru Ilúvatar. And Ahura Mazda and Azura Mainyu, I think, is the darkness. It's a dualist religion. It's the same structure where Ahura Mazda can create things, and then Azura Mainyu can only twist things. He can only, and then he can't
forever, right? It's the sun and the moon all over again. Like I feel like every religion started.
There's a lot of dualism. Most religions are dualistic.
I mean, you can see a ton of that with Tolkien, like that. He took it from Christianity too, because his big thing was like, oh, evil can't create; it can only twist and corrupt. That's why the orcs are twisted and corrupted and ruined souls of elves, like that kind of thing.
So Tolkien was just kind of a bullshit plagiarist and not very good.
He was stealing from those Zoroastrians.
God damn it!
Son of a bitch.
I mean, it's the same classic. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is a reconstruction of something prior. Like, it's about, how you can put it together and can you make it entertaining? Because I doubt that anybody is going to sit there and read through the Zoroastrian texts and be as into it as you would be with Tolkien. And honestly, with him, it's the linguistics is what makes Tolkien so incredibly impressive. This guy just sat there and designed a whole bunch of languages for a world that didn't exist. To me, that's the really fascinating thing.
Yeah, you guys believe in demons? You think there's supernatural beings bumbling around, invisible all around us?
I don't think so.
I think they're mostly in your dreams, but because you literally have described like meeting a demon man in your dream. which sounds like the scariest thing ever.
Someone would have gotten a good demon photo by now.
I'm gearing up
yeah.
for imagination. Do you guys want to do another story time about demons?
And real
Yes.
life are different.
I'm gonna need a
Okay.
soda if you've got a demon story.
I
'cause that's
do.
Gonna, okay,
I do
let me-
have a
let me-
demon story. Do you
let
want
me
to
get
go?
a soda.
Let Kyle grab his soda real
We're gonna
quick,
go.
and then you can
Spooky
regale
season. This
us.
is perfect. It's Halloween. Let's talk about ghosts
This
and
is.
ghouls and goblins and stuff.
Exclusively ghoul and goblin talk.
So I'll tell you about a demon I saw once. Real nasty piece of shit.
Goblins, probably the least scary of the goblins, demons, ghouls
Yeah.
kind of triad.
Think of them like ghoulies coming out of the toilet. You know, little
Yeah,
munchkin type
they're
things.
not scary. Like goblins are. I feel like goblins would be scary because you know that his demon master's nearby, right? But
What
the
is the
goblin,
least scary? Are trolls part of this?
it depends on the kind of troll. If it's like the kind with the belly button ring, not scary. If it's like the Lord of the Rings kind of troll,
They're
very
troublesome.
scary. Yeah, they'll kill you.
I always thought zombies. Like it. Zombies, of course, again, depends on the kind of zombies. If they're the
Yeah.
28 days later zombies where they run, and if they get even like remotely near
Yeah.
you or like sneeze in your direction, then you have it in 5 seconds. And if the person gets a scratch on them, you have to immediately murder your wife because
Yeah.
she's about to become the most lethal predator that's ever been. All right, that's scary. But Walking Dead zombies, my gosh.
Yeah.
Single people take out dozens of them.
That's a cakewalk. Yeah,
There's thousands of them. It's a numbers issue.
It is a numbers issue. I follow, but they're also quite slow. Now they don't get tired, but it seems like you can relocate, and they have been in a horde, and they just murder their way out of the horde, and they're okay.
them not getting tired would be a big thing because like if they see the direction you're going, you could hoof it and get out of like sight range. And then what? All right, I'll take watch. Everybody sleep for 2.5 hours until they arrive and we wake up and then we run on exhausted legs. Like they'd get you eventually if they
Go
like could track
someplace
you.
accessible by ladder, like a rooftop, and
You're right. That solves it
Or
entirely.
somewhere really cold.
climb
It's
a
cold,
fence.
they freeze.
but the 28 weeks later one, like not only are they faster, like they're faster than Usain Bolt and they can climb ladders faster than firemen. Like everything gets improved when they become a zombie. So they're impossible to take down. The most unbelievable part of 28 Days Later is like, oh no, there wouldn't be a hideout in this scenario. No one would have survived this. You'd be so fucked. You'd
No,
be
that's
tracked
not
down
true.
so quickly.
There's like billions of people. There have to be a few that stayed inside.
Maybe.
What's
But
the
there's
scenario?
We're talking about
28
the
days later.
Yeah, 28 Days Later zombies are out there. There's not going to be a huge resistance like Walking Dead. Like they're too quick. They even like they have like scenes in 28 Days Later where you can see like the zombie thinking things through and like, oh, I recognize the tactic of the non-zombies.
Well, the
I'm
thing
gonna
about the
circumvent
28
that.
days later scenarios, those are crazies, technically speaking, because they're still alive. They're just crazy, like psychopathic, rabid people. So, like, it
didn't
is
know
a
that.
little bit more difficult to deal with that.
They're zombies for the sake. Of
Yeah, yeah. Actually, they're not zombies. Oh, you hush. They are zombies.
They are violent
I say that because
homunculi.
like they're not going to decompose or anything, right? Like they're
but
just
they
going to
could
eventually
starve.
get old and die.
They could starve, yeah, but they eat each other probably. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I don't know.
Like they're not because it just seems to me like zombies are kind of like supernatural for in a lot of ways. Like those Walking Dead zombies should have like fallen over by now.
Yeah, they would.
Well, they don't
That's-
call
that's
them
the plot
zombies
in the
Walking
movie.
Dead either. So
28 days
Yeah,
later,
the
the
word
movie
doesn't
plot is they
exist.
chain him up to see how long it takes to starve.
Mhm. And then they can't even keep the one that's chained up from fucking someone up when they go in the courtyard. That's how wily they are. But speaking of the spooky season, you have a demon tale for us?
I do. We're going
So,
off the
go ahead.
rails here tonight. All right. So, little context. As a child, I always used to see things: ghosts, demons, goblins, monsters, voices, all this shit constantly. I hated it. But it was a part of my reality, but it got lesser as I got older. So probably something growing up, environmental, hormonal, whatever.
Yeah.
This was probably about, I was like 12, 13 years old. And in that time, I was very tired of this aspect of my life. So I used to try to take pictures of things like that whenever it would pop up, whenever I would see it, because I figured ghosts hate cameras, right?
Yeah. Well,
And I was living in a place in Kentucky that I considered to be extremely haunted. I have a story about an evil doll I can tell you as well, or dolls, plural, that move on their own. So I was freaked out. I was like a little nervous ball of mess of a kid. Every fucking day there was a voice or a noise or some goddamn light or some spooky thing or some problem, at least a couple times a week, right?
Can you describe like what it was you were seeing? Like a fully formed thing, a shadow?
Yeah,
person?
we're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
So in the context of this story, I'm minding my own business in my bedroom. I'm just cleaning it. I'm like 12, 13. It's a mess, right? And it's a nice like old wood cabin kind of place. So we have these wood doors with the complicated grain pattern and stuff. And I'm minding my own business and I look over at the door and I watch it like warble very briefly as if something is trying to push through the wood grain pattern. Now, here's the bizarre thing. What you're probably imagining is something like the Predator or like an elite from Halo standing in front of it with like the light bending. But it was more like my brain was opening to a pattern in the wood grain that I could previously not perceive, but now that I could. And it was both moving and not moving at the same time. And it was wiggling and wobbling and coming together. And it formed the shape of something that I would say would be a cartoon demon, something like you would imagine out of an 80s or 90s scary movie, you know, demonic goat legs, scary hands with nails and horns and whatnot, huge, full frame of the door just standing there. And it's like, hi. I'm like flipping out. I'm like turning white and I'm like just fucking scared shitless. And the thing starts talking to me and telling me how fun it's been to play with me and that my brother's on the chopping block next. Can't wait to see what he's going to do to him. And
Jesus.
But it was talking not in my ears. It was talking up here. There was a voice and thoughts in my head that were not my own, just flowing in from somewhere. And I was panicking. And I remember as a child caring about my brother a lot. So I told it to stay with me and leave him alone. And it thought this was very amusing, said it would do so, and then said, let me give you a little preview of the future. And the wood grain just snapped, and it was almost like a TV screen, but like 2D and made of wood lines, just flashing little things in the theoretically would be in the future. Also an awful, nasty stuff, right? A lot of bad things. And then pops back to the demon, and it's just like, bye. And immediately the pattern goes away. It never changed to begin with. I could no longer perceive this. And the scary thing was that of the 4 things that I was shown, 3 have come true.
Ooh, I'm sure not all of them are things you want to share. Are any of them something you could?
It's primarily personal things with my family.
Fair enough.
Just
yeah.
Things that would, you know, like how grandma dies, stuff like that.
Well, that's so you were hallucinating regularly as a child all the time.
Not all. As I got older, much lesser. As a very young child, yes, at the very least. As an adult,
I think
would like
Taylor
to think
phrased that
these are
incorrectly. When did the visions begin?
As long as I can remember.
You're right, Kyle. I'm sorry. This is the Halloween season. We need to buy in.
Literally, as long as I can remember. You want a killer doll story?
When did you realize you were a seer?
When I was 7 years old, I had to go
shine.
to various like psychiatrists and analysts or whatever to let them do whatever they were going to do. They put me on a lot of different medications that children should not take, and it didn't help the problem at all. I had a terrible home environment, so it's probably some manifestation of that. That kind of instability is really bad for little kids. A lot of scary movies, stuff like that.
You ever seen any aliens or anything?
No, I've seen shadow people. I've seen lights.
What the fuck is a shadow person, man?
It's it's like a fucking like a shadow on your wall of a person, but there's no fucking person there.
Well, I hate that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't care for that either.
Is your home life
extraordinary?
extraordinarily bad or like normal bad? Like parents got divorced, like half of kids go through.
Extraordinary.
Okay.
Fuck.
So
Enough to make you see demons and
I was having a
wooden
good day
doors.
up until like 20 minutes ago.
We can make this one.
So the way to think about it, you talked about DMT, and that's what gave me the idea. I legitimately think that my
Don't do
brain
DMT,
dropped a
you're
tiny
half-
bit
you
of
got
the
1 foot
DMT
in.
stores that it has, because it felt like I was perceiving a pattern that previously I could not perceive, and hearing
Yeah.
things that I previously could not. I had issues with dolls that would move on their own in the same house. I fucking hated that. It used to creep me out because I always
All right,
felt
when
like
you
they
say
were
move on
staring
their
at me.
own, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I'm fascinated.
Okay.
When you say move on their own, like it wiggle a little, or it would just be here and now it's like in another room.
Yeah, like being an
Second
alien,
one.
leave it.
But to an extreme degree. So we were rich. We had a giant toy room bigger than this office. They had a whole fucking wall of stuffed animals. And they all had these little glass eyes that I thought were staring at me all the time because fucked up little kid.
Mhm.
Didn't like it. It was very annoying. So what I decided to do one day is go in there and turn all 100 of them around to face the wall. So just like teddy bear butts facing the rest of the room. And my little play areas, I had a little game station right beside the door to the playroom. So just sit in the door would be like right here, right here.
Mhm.
So I did that and I was like, great, I'm going to go play Road Rash on N64. And I do that for a little bit. I was like, I want something from the toy room. So it might have been an hour and a half later. Nobody is going in there. Parents are like gone. It's just me. If somebody did go in, it would have had to been like right beside me, right? I go in there and all 100 of these fucking dolls have turned around and they're not just facing outward on the shelf like where they were, but the ones on the further ends are like angled in. So they're all looking at the door the very moment I opened it.
Ooh. Did you
So I
turn them
just
back
closed-
around?
Yeah, I just closed the door and left. Just fucking out. Bye. See ya.
Did they
I've
ever
never,
move again after that?
I've never seen or heard anything. I wish. I wish
No,
I
you
had
don't. You don't wish. It's
This
so
sounds
not fun.
horrid. Why would you want this?
Well, I don't want what he's got. I mean, clearly he has a thing going on. You know,
A
I'm
touch of
not
the
fine with that.
crazies.
Yeah,
Some people.
I just want to see a door wiggle one time or something like.
I want it to turn into like the Pillsbury Doughboy or someone good. Kyle, you're muted.
Seen Lights. I've seen Hat Man, The Old Woman. I've heard a plenty of number of like mostly weird sounds. You hear things dragging around in the wall or little voices and whispers and stuff. But so it wasn't just me, it was the whole family. We all had to deal with this shit for like 7 years. It was terrible.
So they were seeing stuff as well with dolls
Yes.
and
Yes,
doorways.
my mother especially, she's got a whole host of colorful mental problems. So her reporting is less than reliable. My brother has a few creepy stories. He was very young. And the interesting one is that the old man, my stepfather, is like this Vietnam War veteran. He's not into this spooky ghost shit. My mom complains about ghosts all the time. He's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what real horror is.
Finally,
and then
fucking last, a normal person. And Jesus Christ, I'm all here alone listening to the last 40 minutes of make-believe bullshit. None of this happened. None of
but
this
it got
is
him
true.
too.
None
In
of this
his
is
mind.
anything. It didn't
Hang
get
on,
him.
Woody,
There was a
you're wrong.
night we heard
'Cause then
steps
the
sprinting
surprise
through the
is it's got-
house and noises. He bolted up out of the bedroom shotgun. Who's in the house? And we're all like, we've been telling you it's a fucking ghost. And he's like, bullshit. And he just starts going around to see if there's anybody like breaking in the house or sneaking around outside and stuff like that. So it got him a time or two too.
the demon got him.
You just don't believe, Woody. You're just a skeptic.
Well, here's the reality.
I'm
It's what
skeptic.
happened from my perspective, which
Exactly.
is only as reliable as you believe in me.
And so
I
like
think you have a mental illness, but I wish you the best. Just
I
the
believe
best.
in your ghost stories this much.
well, see, what do you, but we talked about this with like the
Oh,
schizophrenia
goodness.
thing. When we talked about schizophrenia a couple weeks ago, like in their eyes, everything they're saying is 100% real. And it's like they're not trying to like pull the wool over your eyes. They're like, no, I saw a shadow person. And so like to them it's real. And so it's like just as horrifying as if it is real, you know?
Sure.
And you can't unremember it. So as an adult, this continues about 3 or 4 times a year. I will briefly see or hear a thing that's not there, not a spooky ghost. I mean, I'll just be like laying in bed by myself and it's dead silent. And I'll hear, welcome to Wendy's. What would you like to order? And I'm like, the fuck?
So you're just
My
random
number 6 with a Coke Zero.
Yeah, just
coming
little
right
tiny,
up.
like maybe like one shadow person scooting by and then going to do his own thing super quick. But the difference between that and schizophrenia is a schizophrenic almost certainly believes that. Schizophrenics are confused that all of you don't see the same thing.
Mhm.
They don't. It's like the object permanence, or that one person can have knowledge that the other one doesn't. There's like an incongruency. So
Yeah.
those hallucinations are reality, but in my case, I know that they're not real.
Damn. That as a kid, you probably thought they were real though, right?
Oh, very real.
Yeah.
Very, very much so.
That's horrible. I've never seen a demon or a ghost, anything like that, you know, but I guess it's only a matter of time, Woody, until one crosses my path.
I had night terrors for a decade.
Oh no.
Yeah, my listeners have heard it before, but in fast forward, my house got robbed. I confronted the burglar. Later, the police called him. I think I read about someone like that in the paper. But even though in the moment, you know, it was the man I would aspire to be, afterwards, I was terrified. I couldn't sleep without a knife underneath me. The burglar had been in our home, like, I don't know how many times, 8 times, 12 times, like a bunch. And What are you guys laughing at?
Oh no,
I'm not laughing.
Drifter was saying this went off the rails. I'm like, it's all good. You're good.
No, I'm not laughing at your trauma. It's not. Let's
Yeah.
laugh
So to
at-
roll it along,
I didn't laugh at
I
all.
had this recurring dream where I'm sleeping. There's a figure in the doorway, and I need to either fight him off or defend myself, but I'm sort of sleep paralyzed. And then I would wake up in a sweat and, not be paralyzed anymore. And that happened to me for like a decade. It was a long time. It was like a PTSD level trauma that
every night.
no, it was really frequent and in the first couple of years and infrequent towards the end of the 10.
You weren't seeing like someone sitting at the foot of your bed or anything like that when you were in like the terror state, right?
In the dream, I would see someone in the doorway, blocking. It was the only entrance into the room, and he was coming for us. And then I would, I was just trying to get up and handle it, but I couldn't move because I'm asleep. And you're in that state where like what's happening in real world is kind of playing out in the dream too, and I'm just barely able to move. In the dream, I'm paralyzed with fear until I wake up.
Then what happens when you wake up?
My wife would console me, say it was just a dream. Like that's what happened. I realized it had a bad dream.
And this probably doesn't happen like at all anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds a little bit like sleep paralysis in a sense.
Yeah.
That always
also
sounded
terrifying.
so horrifying. I'm so glad I've never had a night terror or sleep paralysis. And like the friends I've had over the years who have it and talk about it, so many of them have the same exact thing. Like it's not like we're sitting around in a circle talking about it. It's many people over the years I'm talking to, and they all say they see a figure, whether it's a demon or a ghoul or a ghost or a goblin, all sitting, sitting on the bed, looking at them. Like they're all sitting on the bed with them. And it just is weird to me that like all these different people, different walks of life, they all say, no, same thing. A demon sitting on the bed with me, looking at me right next to my feet.
Yeah. In my case, it's dark. I can't see what's up. Picture him a little bit dressed like the guy from Scream, like some sort of cloak or whatever. And I don't know. I got to deal with shit and I can't because I've got sleep paralysis.
Oh, have you ever had that, Kyle?
No, I've never had sleep paralysis or anything really like that. I've had some really scary nightmares. But I also have this weird thing, and I've done it since I was a kid, where like if I'm in too scary of a nightmare, I'll like jump off of something high, like straight onto my head, like try to kill myself in the dream, and I'll like wake up right away.
I'll have dreams where like I'm falling from a mountain or something, like I'm just falling, except then like the fall decelerates and then I'm just walking, like the fall just ends, and it's like that like stomach like roller coaster feeling, but it's not even unpleasant because like even though like because I'm never falling. I'm like failing at flying. It's never like straight down. It's like going down like that until it's just like, ooh, just start walking like the Harry Potter people when they're like all going through that warp and then they're just fine walking.
Then you're just like
that
almost flying.
Yeah. But I always know I'm dreaming when that happens. So it doesn't really get too spooky. Man, I don't have any good nightmares to
So
share.
if y'all are falling, do you wake up before you hit the ground?
No, I hit the ground and like have a sensation of breaking my neck, and then I wake up.
Hey, we're in the same boat.
Oh no, I'm the
Fucking
opposite.
suck.
I wake up just before I hit the ground.
Probably the better way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know there was another choice. I choose mine.
If I don't jump from high enough, then I just hurt my neck, and now the bad guys are closer.
What? I've never tried to commit suicide in a dream ever.
Yeah, I learned that there's like this like there's a minimum height to accomplish suicide in a dream. And I tried to like jump off a chair once in a dream. Like, no, that's not high enough. You gotta get like 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Were you scared by it at all? Like,
there were some things that like creeped me out. I definitely like would look at like the darkest corner of the room and be like, God, I hope my mom's not hanging in there.
Yeah.
Dude, I did that last night.
Like, yeah.
Last night, I went out in my my garage where I guess I'll call it my gym, and like flicked the light on. And the first thing I did, because there's a little dark corner where there's like a cubby to store stuff by the water heater, I looked up in that corner, and what I was looking for was a woman crouched in there like in Hereditary, up in the corner. I swear, I looked, and as I've always been like that though. Like as a kid, I told myself to always check behind the shower curtain before I took a piss, because in my dad's bathroom growing up, you're like pissing, and to the left is like the shower curtain. You can like reach over and grab it and slide it, and I always checked, and I told myself as a kid, one day something will be there, so be prepared. I don't know why I told myself that. I told myself that when I was like 10, and every
to this
time,
day.
and I almost believe it. And so every time I'm in a bathroom, I check to make sure that I'm not about to get ambushed or something.
What's the plan if there is a knife-wielding madman behind the
Punch.
Well, it's clearly a fight to
Just,
the death.
just be killed
We
in a
punch
more
them.
scared way.
We're gonna get our hands on that knife first. That's the first thing that's happening.
Oh, I would really like another really scary movie to watch.
That's
When
our knife.
Well, when I
That's
saw
our knife until he proves different.
when I saw Hereditary, there was like a whole thing. Spoilers. Okay.
It's okay.
There was this thing. Like they talk about like King Paimon, the like one of the princes of hell. And so like after the movie, I looked it up. Like, oh yeah, how could I summon King Paimon if I wanted to on YouTube?
Yeah.
And I ended up getting all this instructional shit about like King Paimon. If you want to summon King Paimon, he's a good one to summon if you don't want like if you want to do something successfully money wise, you want to summon King Paimon. If you want your enemies to fail at something that's important to them,
This seems very
King
generic.
Paimon,
Very thick
King
salt.
yeah. King Paimon.
He's a king.
And I looked him up, and like then I like pulled up like this like video that was like a mantra like chant to summon King Paimon, and I'm like really high at home, and like it's playing in this dark echoey voice like on YouTube, like in some fucking like Latin or some shit, and it's like blasting, and I'm like smoking, and my dog is looking at me like, bro, are you fucking stupid? Like my dog's looking at me, sees the TV, he's looking at me, he's like, I don't know anything, and none of this sounds right now.
Yeah, I'm the dog, and I know this isn't.
It was
good
a
for
bad
you.
trip. I was like, I shouldn't.
I'm not entirely convinced that there may not be some demons. You know, it's Taylor tells me all the time that there are demons and that I should be afraid.
Oh yeah, they're out there, man.
If there were a way to summon a demon, though, I think I'd be down. I think I'd summon one up because I'm going to be
feel like
honest.
they'd be tricky and they'd take advantage of you
That's racist.
against demons.
All right, let me explain.
Yes.
Think about this for a second. There was only one.
Spiritualist.
It's clearly prejudiced.
It
Spiritist?
is. All right, listen. Hear me out.
Okay.
There's only one like source on demons, right?
Yeah. God.
There's the source of like God in the Bible and what those guys wrote down. Of
I
course, it's
really
gonna be
thought you were going to say a
biased.
supernatural TV show.
Yeah.
It's my
Well,
source.
damn it, Dean. Do factor in. Okay. I'm just saying that, like, I'm not sure that they're so. You know, Harley, your own people have been written about by white men before, and I've seemed to have read something that you guys were sneaky and mistrustful, and that maybe we shouldn't do deals with you, like, you know. But that's all lies. That's all lies. Clearly.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty sure every group on the planet though had a problem with demons. Like, no, there's no group of happy.
Oh,
That's what a Nazi would say.
Could be.
Except he wouldn't call them demons, but all right, I get your code.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if I could summon some sort of demon and he was like what would his price be? I want to like. I'll
Your
bring
soul
in-
tradition.
Here's what you do. Here's how you beat a demon. You beat a demon with a Jew. You need a lawyer. You bring your lawyer in, and you get the same lawyer that they get for like those NBA contracts, like all the stipulations, and you make sure we hammer down an agreement. How many babies do you need me to abort, and how much like I don't know, like demon money do I get for it? Right?
Dude, you're not gonna win a legal. Where on in the universe are there more attorneys than hell?
That will be established. It will be established where the court proceedings for arbitration will take place and how the duly noted representatives will be chosen. That will all be spelled out by my Jew.
There's
friend.
no hell. There's no hell in
By my
Judaism.
Jew friend.
So you just got like a ton of Jewish lawyers like waiting outside hell. They're like, you need representation.
Yeah.
You need representation.
Yeah.
Like there's no hell. So they're like, I can't get in there unless I go in there with you. So
Yeah.
you have to retain me as your lawyer right now.
And it seems
no
like a
hell,
lot-
not bad. No heaven either. You know, evens out.
it seems like blood sacrifice is usually big with them. But I'm guessing that I could get like some meaningful amount of like karma, if you will, out of a demon for just killing goats and stuff, cows and things like that, and like saying some chants like this: I spill this blood for Pazuzu, in the
probably be
name of
in Latin.
Pazuzu, flow into the empty vessel that is my friend Taylor. Take
Yeah.
hold of him in the night when he is
Bring
weak,
it on.
when he is soddened and full of salted meat.
When I'm sodden, I'm all wet. I'm from sweating. I've eaten so much.
Yeah. That's when you're weak. Flow into his open, salty pores. and
That's
take
how I
hold
crawl
of him.
into bed every night.
He will be a powerful vessel for your essence. He will allow you to take the innocence of many.
That would be good, but I think you would want to start with a low level demon because, like you said, chickens, maybe not even a goat. See what kind of demon you can get. What kind of special bus demon for a couple of chickens? See what kind of power he imbues. Because the powerful ones, if movies have taught me anything, you got to murder someone. Usually, it's got to be a virgin. It's got to be a young female virgin for it to be a creme de la creme demon, or you can get like shitty ones with animals. I don't remember if I'm just thinking about movies.
I just
want to
like I'd like to like be able to like clean and press 350.
Oh, I bet a little demon could do that. Yeah.
You don't need a
So
whole
think of the power of the real
that.
demons. The
Where
real
are the-
demons can
where
like
are the
change the weather and summon
where-
lightning.
Who's the demon of gains with a Z? I want that guy.
Oh, mighty gain lord! just clogging your toilet by emptying out a sacrifice of whey protein into.
I was gonna say I'd make a big circle around me and whey.
Don't let the gains goblins get you. They'll steal your lats right off your back.
I'm like, I've got one of those incense burners, and it's like burning creatine or something.
Yeah.
Like,
You have, like,
all around.
After
have, like,
you
a
make
whole-
deal, they're like, we also have lock and load.
You have like a whole demon summoned, and he's like, "You have summoned me," and you just give him a needle. You're like, "Yeah, I just need you to inject me, please."
I just need you to pop this in
You
my
can get
eye.
out of here now. You're good. I kept hitting this nerve, and that's it. I just wanted.
I'm
So I had something I wanted to talk to Wendigoon about.
Oh.
We can jump in with that. So, I know from your channel you're very interested in these mystical woodland creatures and things. Very not just woodland, all over the place. Of all those you've researched, do any of them at all like trigger a thought in your mind to be like, this would be real? Or are you mostly at the end of it like, I can't buy in?
I do think that there is a large case for a lot of like ocean creatures, for one, right? So I'm going to leave those out of it because that's cheating, right?
Okay.
Okay.
As far as like, so I'm from Eastern Tennessee, right? So I spend a lot of the time in the woods, do a lot of camping, and there's some weird stuff that goes down you just don't explain, like just some noises, some carcasses you find that you're like, this is not right. And I'm also like, a Christian, a Sunday school teacher. So I also have the thought in my head, like, maybe it's just a demon. That makes me feel better for some reason.
Yeah.
So if there is any like supernatural or cryptid, so to speak, creature that would exist, I would probably say it would be in line with a lot of mythologies that go along the lines of like the rake or something like that. And I don't think maybe any one specific one of them is real, just maybe like some kind of creature that's unaccounted for, just something that isn't quite on the record yet. It's not an entirely out there, like, Bigfoot with antlers and giant wings. As much as I love the Mothman, probably not. But just something that we're not entirely aware of yet, that makes some noise at night that we don't pay attention to. Yeah.
That's totally believable.
I'm also like, I also lean toward that, not like the biblical demon, which is a fucking corrupted angel of the Lord, but like the idea of some sort of like, I don't know, other dimensional fucking weird being that's kind of here, but not really. And like, maybe sometimes it influences our world in some weird way, even if it's just being a cold spot or screaming real loud in the woods.
An in-betweener, so to speak. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen or heard anything that I couldn't explain with my ears or eyes one way or another. I remember when we were on our little survival trip that time with you, myself, and Chiz and Patrick, our cam man, and we heard some people way in the distance being I'm gonna say they were being silly and partying by a fire. because that's not terrifying.
Yeah.
Because what we heard was, woo! It sounded like there might be some deliverance shit going down, you know,
Yeah.
like they just had like fuck the guy or something,
Or
like,
a demon ritual of sorts.
you never know. But it was so far away. But we're in like a
Some
silent
Bohemian
forest.
Grove
All you
shit.
hear is crickets and all the forest life and quietness. So like a person's voice in those hills, those mountains carries so far. But it was scary. I was glad we had guns. I was like, I'm not worried about it at all. We've got fucking guns. I kind of hope they come over here and start some shit. Actually, let's go see what they're yelling about.
You better hope that it's that it's like a physical being. Your guns are going to be nothing against demons.
Well, then
ghouls.
we've got a cameraman. We're all millionaires now. We're the first ghost hunters to actually find a ghost.
The reason that
If medals are going to be on us like Soviet commanders, it's going to be nuts. If we
the only thing we
film a
know,
ghost.
the only thing we know for sure about ghosts is that if you like see one verifiably, like they probably are going to kill you, right? There'd be a lot more people with better stories.
We're the first men to beat up a ghost in the forest of Georgia, and our boy Patrick filmed it. We're cutting shiz out of this. It's a union thing. Me and fucking Woody took he took his tent flap, his rain garden, and choked the fucking ghost out. There was so much cosmic energy imbued in it from his anger earlier that day that he could choke a phantom with it. And
makes sense.
And we take a phantasm like prisoner. We'd be the first guy, so I have no fear of a phantasm or ghost. I would love to die that way if someone records it. It'd be cool. That's how I'd love to die.
It would be
I'd
cool.
like
Ghost
to be
attack?
taken out a long time from now. Like at 91, there's no way I'm making it 90. At 71.
Here's the thing. I think people that are our age, we still do that thing where 70 is so goddamn old, but every day 70 gets younger, if that makes sense. Like the people who will be 70-year-olds today are way better health-wise than 70-year-olds 10 years ago. And on and on and on and on and on, right? Like there's a reason that like we keep living. Yeah, of course.
I thought we were getting fatter at a faster rate than all that.
But the healthcare system, like the life expectancy keeps going up. Has it gone? It hasn't started going down, has it? It's always.
I
did
don't
with
think
COVID.
we've never been like that
COVID doesn't
great
count.
with compared to like a lot of Europe.
That'd be like if a bomb went off, the average
Yeah,
goes
right.
down. So come on.
It did
But I
with
don't
World
think
War
Europe
II.
has. Europe doesn't have longer life expectancy because they have like way better. Well, they do have better medical care than us, but I think it's mostly that they're not all big fat fucks. Like way lower. Think about all the problems that being obese cause, and then like make a population like ours that's super fucking mega obese. It's gonna cause
Super
it.
fucking mega obese. Just
It's a lot of obese.
Yes.
I don't know. It could've
I'm just saying
said
that by the
obese.
time you're, what I was getting at is,
Yeah, why
is like
can't
by
they
the-
just be a normal guy who's class 1 obese? like
But when you're 70,
Stage
that will
one
be a
obese.
very different 70 probably than the 70 you picture. Like
yeah,
you're, how old are you?
Me?
31.
40 years from now? We're talking about like 2060 something? Like 2060.
That is a long
Yeah,
time from
yeah.
now.
I feel like we've got the spaceships then, right? Like we're on Mars in our Mars cars. Like it's 70, right? Like we'll get to see it then. They won't let us go up there, but your grandkids will get to go.
I don't think
2060, Kyle will
And
have
maybe one of my
reliable
dogs.
internet.
I mean, yeah, it could be like that.
That's crazy. Wow. What did you
Maybe
do?
it was a weaker
to
strike.
upset the Lord.
I
You know what it
can't
was,
never
Kyle?
tell.
You know, remember post show last week when we were talking to Wendigoon, and you said I was talking to Taylor, and we both agreed that we would not do a joke about selling our soul to the devil.
Yeah.
at
I
this
wanted to do a
point.
bit on the show where Woody sold his soul to the devil, but I didn't even suggest it to him because I was like, I know that he's an atheist, but he wouldn't sell his soul to an like, all right, here imagine
To a
this is the
demon.
bit. A guest comes on the show and he has sent Woody the paperwork already, and there's a Lancet in there and everything. He's got to prick his thumb, put a bloody fucking thumbprint on a real contract that says that this man, as an arbiter for Satan himself, gains access to Woody's eternal soul, and it's a well written contract and everything. I wouldn't sign the contract, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't
I
go
will
through with
sell
it.
you my soul for a crisp $20 bill every week.
You know,
I'll just make it a recurring.
That's the Halloween episode. We
I'll
gotta
take
find
it.
someone to buy his soul.
Kyle, you want to go in on want to split Woody's soul? $10.
I so want to buy his soul. Let's both give him $10, and we will be co-owners of his soul.
What if like immediately our lives improve and his collapse?
Like-
Like
like, what if-
immediately.
Your
Like-
bench goes up 75 pounds. You're like, what happened?
Well, that makes
my
sense.
God.
You guys would have split mine. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just,
Like
just get more powerful in every way. But every week, Woody looks like the guy from Thinner. He's just like becoming tiny.
Yeah.
Like the crypt.
He's-
He's turning into the Crypt Keeper a week.
he's
at a
looking
time.
more and more like a Mexican alien every
Yeah.
single week, just kind of crisping up and fading away, just eyes sinking further and further into his
He's like,
skull.
hey,
Yeah.
about that soul, and we're like, yeah, I don't have it with me. You know, I'll remember next week, and we don't remember next week.
It'll be like when we get to the pearly gates, it's like if our soul gets declined, we can be like, really? Let me check my wallet. Try this one. And they'll be like, this is an even worse half of a soul. It belongs to the devil. What are you doing with this guy? And it's like, oh, well, you're right. I guess I don't want we shouldn't bring his soul to heaven.
Yeah, we'll
With
leave
us.
it here.
If we
We
all right,
probably should sell it to the devil at some point if we're going to be the owners of the soul ourselves. I wanted to find.
I don't want to be
go-between
involved in a
between-
devil deal. That can't help.
I
us.
think. Well, it's Woody's soul we're giving them. It's not ours. You know, if it were that, then I
yeah,
wouldn't.
but God's
going
gonna know that we were middlemaning for the devil.
God's going to know that we purchased Woody's soul. I don't think that we're getting out of this.
I think that
unscathed.
the reason we purchase it is to keep him from selling it to Satan. Would Woody rather have his soul possessed by the Lord of Darkness or two retards? Clearly us.
I kind
'Cause
of
I wouldn't do anything with it. I'd put it
that
in
was
my-
the whole
I'd-
thing.
You want to actually sell? Oh, well, I was being more benevolent. I was thinking I would take my half of the soul contract, put it in there in my
Kyle's in the
safe.
business of flipping souls, it would seem.
You're gonna make a
See,
cool
that's exactly what I thought. See, we've got-
$15 on it.
This is
The Simpsons
this
did
is,
this first.
this is
Yeah,
capitalism.
the Simpsons
right here.
did do this.
Here we have
Where
Woody,
Bart has
who
to eat the
has
paper.
no interest in his soul. He finds it to have zero value, and here we have Satan, who finds nothing to be more valuable. You know, it seems like you want
I
to be
really
that
need to
Pawn
cut out the
Star.
middleman. Maybe I'll
But
get rid of my gray hair.
what would actually happen is we would get bamboozled by the devil because he's smarter than we are, and he would get us by virtue of the fact that we sold the soul to him. He'd be like, now you've lost your souls also. 3 for 1 for him.
Too late, fucker.
Too late.
I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion.
You're
You're
saying-
thinking about the devil.
I
and
already
souls and
sold
stuff.
mine.
I think Johnny plays the fiddle better than the devil. No,
He
I have
does.
that backwards. I
Everyone
think the
knows
devil
that
beat Johnny.
The devil plays better than Johnny. Everyone knows the devil plays better than Johnny, mostly because he has accompaniment. Those demons and then a band of demons joined in, and it sounded a little something like this. And they fucking play, and it's like, oh, that sounds pretty good. But when the devil hits his lick, it's like, that's a way cleaner, longer, better lick than what Johnny hit. It's definitely superior.
When
I
that
agree.
song is performed, does the same person do both parts?
Charlie Daniels, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I had it in my
He-
head. There were like 2 fiddlers on stage. One was clearly better.
Charlie Daniels is known as a very good fiddler, as you might imagine, since
Rest
he
in peace.
actually has the whole song about the thing.
Hmm.
Is he dead? He's
Oh,
a
I
fit
don't know.
guy. You know,
I thought
I
he was
remember
dead.
that. I remember him being very svelte, very, very long and slender. No, that's not
I
what
thought he was a
at all.
big fat fiddler who
Big
was
fat
from
fiddler.
olden times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
I
was-
would not sell my soul to the devil. That seems
No.
like there's nothing to gain there, and a
mean,
whole
whatever-
lot to lose.
There he is.
Your soul.
Down here, rising up your bow and play your fiddle hard. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Hope he's alive.
He looks like he's alive.
Good for him. Rocking it.
Oh no, he died in 2020. Now I look
Oh.
better.
Oh, was it COVID?
That's a good question. But
He doesn't look like the kind of guy who'd line up for a vaccine. Is all
I
I'm saying.
bet it was. Pretty much heart disease is the easiest layup. Pretty much everybody dies of that.
I remembered him being heavier, but in that photo Zach showed there, he looks. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Daniels band. Check him out on YouTube. Some country music from the.
Taylor, I'm going to
Nice.
ask you to pronounce this for me.
Hemorrhagic stroke.
I made a good choice.
So he had a brain hemorrhage.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That sucks for him. The
Well-
devil finally took him to the great
think?
beyond.
Maybe you
Or
made
no.
it that the devil got him. We don't know.
I don't know. Did he sell his soul to the devil? I don't know anything about this guy other than the last 45 seconds of you guys talking about him.
You don't know the song. You don't know the lyrics of the song, the story of the song.
I know.
Well, we
of
should
that
probably
song.
move
I didn't
along.
know he
Then.
did it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, who
Please,
was that guy?
let us
who
down
was
again.
Who was the fucking black guy who sold his soul to the devil in the old like
Oh, brother, where art thou?
legend? Robert something. Where it's like he was the best fiddler ever, and in the early 1900s, he sold his soul to the devil to be the best fiddler. Which is, I would ask for more. I wouldn't do it, but if someone consulted me on it, I would say ask for more than that, dude.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know in the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which is a great movie, the black kid they picked up just had sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads, like a crossroads demon, to play the guitar. And and he
I have
tells
seen that
him,
movie, so that must be what I'm
"Oh
thinking.
son, you sold your eternal soul." It's fucking great. That's a good movie.
Dude,
I was gonna say, I think you wrote in the chat the other day that you'd been reading horror books or something.
Yeah.
As we lead into the spooky month of October, what have you been reading?
I went to this like discount bookstore probably like a month ago and was just poking around, and within like picking 2 books out, I was like, oh my God, like you can get like these are like 1,000-page books for $4.99. And so I bought a bunch of them. I got the Necronomicon, which is the compilation of H.P. Lovecraft's horror short stories. And I've read most of that now. It's very good, mostly.
I've read
like
a lot
most
of that too.
anthology. Have you?
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft as most. Well,
Yeah, I
don't
like
read
H.P.
too much
Lovecraft.
about him, or you might like him less.
Oh,
you'll love
I know, I know his cat's name. If you know that lore about him, but yeah, that was, or no, what was that? Yeah, that was him. That was him who named his cat the N-word. I'm pretty sure.
So
That
you know
that
who
flew
else
in
had
the
a pet?
20s.
Wings of Redemption. Also, one of my favorite soundboard clips. It's Wings. It's not altered. It's just Wings saying, "I had a dog named Ninja." And it's like, fuck. Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
dude. It's like you were born in the late 80s, Wings. Like that's not, or mid 80s. I don't fucking know. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, the Necronomicon,
86.
I've been reading that. That's a really good one. But like I won't say it's like all a banger or anything, because like any anthology book, there's big wins, big like where you're like at the end of that short story and you're like, fuck, I wish this was fleshed out more. I wish there were 500 more pages of this story. And then there are other ones where you get like 15 pages into the 30-page short story and you're like, this one just isn't doing it for me. And then you just flip to the next one and go
Stephen
there.
King has those. I read like,
Yeah.
I don't know, one of those anthologies with just tons of stories.
I have I bought a couple giant books that were sci-fi anthology, and like I don't have nearly as much experience reading sci-fi as I do fantasy and horror, and so I've been doing that more like just before bed. Like I'll read a few of those. It's just called like they're compilation books from like the 2000, like 1998, like, and it's a bunch of I just say they're older books because I don't even know what you would call them. It's just like the best sci-fi, of 1998 or whatever. And it's like 1,200 pages of short stories. And what I found with sci-fi is that even more than horror, or maybe it's just I enjoy that genre not as much as horror, is like real early in stories, you'll be like, oh, this is just stupid. Like this is really bad. But then the chasm is so great. There's other sci-fi ones where you're reading and you're like pissed that it ends, where you're like, fuck, that premise was so good. I wish this author like fleshed it out further instead of kind of leaving a cliffhanger.
Some sci-fi books have me going at like, if my brain was an engine, it's maxed out. I'm redlining to keep up with this fucking book. Like, wait a minute, I need to visual. Like 3 Body Problem did that a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like that. I kind of like
Trailer for that's out.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, I like a book that makes me work at it.
Yeah. I've got this. I've got a thriller anthology book. It's called Thriller, I think. And it's maybe Stephen King edited it, or some like well-known author edited it. And it's got a bunch of like thriller style stories in there. I don't know why. I just saw they had a bunch of anthology style books available. And so I bought like 9 of them. and it was only like 50, $60 for
Yeah,
probably
I found a website.
15,000 pages.
I found a website a while back where you could just buy boxes of books and you could pick the genre you wanted to purchase. And every time I try to
That's
wait
a
for them
risk.
to restock, they're sold out of sci-fi and fantasy. And it's just like, oh, do you want you want 25 pounds of romance novels? It's like, fuck you. No, I want 25 pounds of sci-fi and fantasy. That's how they sell them, like by the pound. You just get a crate full of books.
I would do
And
that. I would definitely do
I
that.
wanted it, but you know what it'd be? It'd be like that time I bought all those magic cards.
Oh yeah, they're just all trash.
I was like, what do you
There's a
mean
lot of
10,000
land in
cards?
here.
Oh my god, we're never gonna run out of land. It was so I think I bought
Do a horror box. You like horror.
I think that was always sold out too. I should check again. It's like 3 months in a row that they didn't restock. But I have a lot of books here that I haven't read. I'll send you a picture later of the library is a strong word of the book pile.
The bookshelf. Not even a shelf, just a pile.
Well, the shelf's full. And then the second shelf's I've got 2 or 3 shelves full of a bunch of stuff, but a lot of it's fantasy and a lot of it I haven't gotten to. But I like the old stuff. I like Jules Verne a lot. And I really like the all the Cthulhu stuff. I really like that. But then the more I learned about your boy, he's a real he's like the OG incel. That guy was a fucking loser.
Who
Lovecraft.
cares as long as it's a good story?
Fair enough.
As long as it's a good story. It's because you talked about selling your soul to the devil a couple weeks ago.
That's
looking
what it
into
is. Things have been going wrong.
Apparently, it's hard to sell yourself soul directly to Satan himself, but there's like 16 demons or something. And I was reading up, and like each one, you would approach that demon because they provide help with X, Y, or Z. There's like the same way, like, oh, this is Saint Christopher. It's for when you lose something or whatever that nonsense is. There's like a demon for like gaining power over people, or maybe a demon for gaining possessions. There's like 16 or 18 of them.
I imagine the demon that gives cash just has a line out the door, right? That like also health issues maybe
Financial value.
comes to mind, but
yeah,
The health issues demon, that seems like a risk.
Yeah, but if there's any actual demon worshippers out there who would like a fresh soul, let us know. I'm currently looking around for someone who's interested.
Looking for a good deal.
Yeah, Josh, would you sell your soul to the devil for something? Because Kyle and I are big time team. Don't sell your soul to the devil.
Let me lay out the
Woody
scenario.
doesn't care. Woody treats it like it's some blasé thing.
Yeah, let me lay out the exact scenario. So.
No, don't think I won't get competitive offers from the Tooth Fairy.
So I'm talking about getting a guy in the call who's an actual like demon worshiper or some sort of grand wizard of them or some such, and he enter into a contract with Woody. And meanwhile, Woody has a piece of paper that I've mailed him that has the contract written out, and then he lances his thumb, puts a little bloody thumbprint on there, whatever, and agrees to sell his soul to this man as a middleman for the devil, I suppose, or some demon. And make the whole thing official. And I was just saying, I would not do that.
No, I don't think so, man. I mean, like theoretically, I don't remember ever having been just a soul. If you're signing this contract, that means it exists. You're going on to somewhere. If that's true, this paper proves it or whatever, then I don't want to risk the ownership of that. I don't know. I'm just going to take my odds.
Contract doesn't just prove that the buyer's stupid. If
that's the case, then sure. But I mean, if we're talking about this supernatural paranormal scenario where you're going to get this result
that's
for
the
your
point.
soul.
I'm not sure. No,
we don't know.
I am not sure. I am 99% sure that my soul will not then be in possession of a demonic, otherworldly being.
Oh, okay. So you're saying on the just in case.
Sure. But just in case.
Yeah, this is like a PKA fan
motherfucker.
that claims.
I've never had a car accident in my life. Every time, clickety click, clickety clack, buckle it up. Not selling my soul to any no.
I guess you got a good point. It's a little bit too high risk for potential reward there. I guess you got a good point. Even if you take that philosophically, if it's a 1% chance, of this eternal thing going on, then maybe you're right. Maybe you shouldn't trade it for the next 50 years of success,
Let's say that you're not selling your soul. That
selling somebody else's done.
Death or $10 million. It's not 50-50, 99% chance you get the cash. Would you roll the dice on that?
Nah.
How do you die?
quickly.
Instantaneous
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
Like, do you know that you got it wrong?
It'd be
You
like
just
the
hit the
Thanos
button and
death,
fall.
where you do
Oh,
where
I
it's sort of a
Let me be
painless
honest with you. Look,
turn into dust.
I didn't think I'd make it this far, and this
Oh, me too.
the world.
You didn't think you'd make it to 37?
Oh, I thought
I
I
didn't think I'd make it to 30.
like 10 years ago.
I thought
Like
you were going to blow
every
yourself
time
up.
Every
10
time I
years
pulled
ago.
that trigger, I was like, "Here we go."
You did
know,
almost die
like-
a couple times. That's
I
true.
figured something would happen.
I just
But,
recently saw on Twitter that video. Oh my god!
It crops
Like-
up
like-
every once in a while, and everyone's
like
like,
you-
"Where's FPS Russia? I wish he would come back."
If you think of it like, that, right, where like I don't even know I've gotten it wrong, I'm just gone. Yeah, why not push the button? Why not push the button? You'll never know what happened. Either A, now you've got $10 million, or B, silence.
Ride's over.
You do that
Silent.
a 50-50 shot. You would hit that button.
I thought he said 99.
No, I said
I-
99-1.
Oh,
Oh,
99-1.
I'd
Okay.
give you better odds than that, Taylor.
He'll take a 75.
Can I pull it twice?
That's
Not even
an
twice.
interesting follow-up question. How many times would you pull it? Is 10
Double
million
or I'd get my 10, I'd be like, double or nothing. And the devil would be like, what does that even mean? Like,
No,
I
you
get
hit
an
the bank
extra
account.
I want a 1-up like Mario, motherfucker. I get a 1-up, extra life, pling, up in the top right of the corner of the screen, or you get the soul and 10 million. And he'd be like, shit.
This guy's a good
I have to give
bargainer.
him one of those souls that I already took off somebody. I could get it if we go on a roll against Satan. Man, what do you value a 1-up as? A 1-up is worth way more than $10 million.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
gonna bamboozle you. Like
I
I
wanna
don't think
know-
you want to get
Devil.
in you don't want to get in a negotiating battle
Why
with
do you
the
think
devil.
the 1-up is so valuable? Like, what happens when you
9
exercise
lives,
it?
right? You
Here-
die
here-
and then you
It's like
don't
you
want-
fall over dead and then you stand right back up. Good as new.
Okay, Kyle.
And hopefully they replace the kidney failure or
Shockingly,
whatever.
you made it
Yeah.
to 81 years old. You can
Yeah.
hardly remember your name. You drool a little bit, and you don't
Yeah.
walk so well. You die.
Okay.
Now you bounce back. You drool a little. You can't remember your name, and you don't walk
Clearly.
so well.
Clearly
What
you
kind of
haven't
deal
played
is this?
Mario 3, Mario World. He's running around, fucking swinging that feather thing, doing his spins. He hits one of those plants, potter plants or whatever, falls. He's little Mario again.
Now he
I'll
shrinks
just be
down.
little Kyle again. I'll die as the 81-year-old, and I'll fucking 1-up, like I'll boo, and I'll be little Kyle, and I'll be like, shit, let's do this again with our $10 million. We took off $20 million. We took off. the devil.
How little? Like you need to find new parents.
I want to be 8. I want to be
You wanna
8
be-
years old. Because at 8 years old, you're physically strong enough to like manipulate the world around you. You could pull switches and
With an
knobs and
adult
operate
brain.
door handles and everything. And but dude, you could walk right up to anybody and punch them in the dick, and they can't say shit. Not only that, you're an 8-year-old worth 20 million. You're like Macaulay Culkin. You're that's better
That's your
than
shit.
anything you could imagine now. Yeah, I'm pulling the button twice, Woody. That's my answer. I'm pulling it twice. If the devil will give me the 1-up and let me be childlike Macaulay Culkin who punches people in the dick with $20 million.
I don't
think
want
it's
to
a
be
bad
8.
deal.
I want to be 16 because I can't
Mm.
wait 8 years to come again.
And to come waiting to, what do you
I'm
mean?
not
8
gonna
years old. You
wait.
just
I'm
have to
gonna-
wait 3 years. You just
All right, so which is worse? Which is worse? As an 8-year-old with an 80-year-old mind, is it worse to find yourself some 9-year-old or to like find some out there who's down?
Ooh,
those are both
Which is worse?
reprehensible.
I don't know.
It's
My
just
knee-jerk
awful.
reaction was if you're down and you have adult like competency and thought processes, you're practically doing the Lord's work by satisfying this guy's needs.
Wait, so you're not even like getting to enjoy childhood again in your own scenario? You, like-
Childhood? My brain in that body. Fuck childhood. Did you have fun?
yeah, a lot of it
Oh,
was
let's do
pretty
high
fun.
school all over while we're at it. Get the hell out of here. No, we're not doing school.
You're going to be
School?
taken into a foster home and abused, and Satan will be laughing. And
That
then
was
they're
like-
going to the state is going to
My-
claim your 20 million
have
because
a-
they don't just
You
let
know,
that
he-
hang
no,
out in
he's
the account of an
starving.
8-year-old.
My British lawyer, Mr. McGovern's, whatever I say, he has power of attorney over me. But my other dude, fucking Franz, he'll kill that motherfucker if he does anything I don't like. So the triumvirate that I've created with me at the head, we can do anything legally speaking as an 8-year-old millionaire.
Not at all. You're 8 years old. Franz is going to be hammering toothpicks under your fingernails until you give him the password, and then he has 20 million and you're
Password?
8.
That's just not what world are we living in where a password gives away my fortune?
A bank account. Like whatever.
I've got cash. I haven't invested. I deserve to lose if I haven't invested my 20 million properly. What are we doing with a 1-up? I haven't invested. Oh, come on.
I don't know if you can have an investment account at 8.
Power of attorney.
Yeah,
he's calling the shots.
We're making all this happen.
So you have kind of a blank check situation going on here. Actually, that movie didn't pan out either.
I think that if you can prove you are earning your own living, you can like get all this adulthood stuff ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
I forget the word for it, but that's
emancipation. Like
that's about leaving your parents. No,
like a financial version.
Yeah, I know. I hear celebrities doing it occasionally. You've got those kids who are like, "You're taking all my goddamn money. What are you talking about? I'm the one in makeup at 5 a.m. since I was 7."
That used to happen to every single child star. Like,
so it's like the opposite of a conservatorship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or
it would be the opposite of that. A
I know that retarded NFL player who was in that movie where Sandra Bullock.
You're gonna have to narrow it down.
He's from here. Okay. Michael Orr. Blindside.
That slow-minded NFL player who Sandra Bullock made the movie about. You know, she comes in like, "Oh, sugar, you're so big and strong. I bet you play football if you just had a white family take care of you." And he did. And he went to the NFL. And they've had a conservatorship on his ass his whole life. That movie came out when I was a kid. They just took the conservatorship off last week.
Yeah.
He's been. How long has he been in the
What
NFL?
Saints?
I don't know how long he played. I don't know his career, but I know the man like was in the NFL and the movie. See, here's the thing. Fuck the NFL. Like, unless you're like a big time guy, you're not making that crazy money. That movie made like $150 million or some shit. Mm-hmm. You know, that was a huge deal. And it's his story. It's pretty wild. He's like radio if radio could play ball.
Was there not a part of radio? I have not seen radio in so long.
No, radio
could have told me that he had some kind of skills, didn't he?
No,
radio had good vibes.
He's like Forrest Gump, basically. Oh no, Forrest could play ball. He basically in radio, Cuba Gooding Jr. went full retard, and he paid the price. You know, that didn't do very well because he can't play ball. He's more of a mascot. It's like Rudy, except they never let him play. They just cheer and lift him up on the shoulders.
Like he pushed a shopping cart around like a homeless person with like a ham radio in it. And
that's what I remember the most. He had that ham radio. At that time, I thought Cuba was a good actor because I had seen Men of Honor with Robert Downey. I can't remember. It's where he played. It's the true life story of Carl Brashear, the first African American Navy diver. And it's not like when you. It's a reconnaissance diver or not rescue. Maybe it's reconnaissance, rescue, and recovery, something like that. Mm-hmm. They send him down into terrifyingly cold waters in those old timey suits. It's a really good movie. But then he made like 8 more stinkers. You ever see Snow Dogs?
I did, but I saw it when I was like 11, and so I remembered being like, "This is all right."
This is dope. Yeah, I was that age. And then like a year later, I was like, that's lame, man.
But I do remember seeing radio around that same age, maybe a bit younger, and even having the perspective at that time to be like, ooh, this is a little ham-handed here. Like, this guy's really, really retarded in a way that Forrest Gump is not even close to.
No.
Like, Forrest had like a half dozen pretty impressive skills. He was great at ping pong. He was really fast at football. He did what is a baffling ultra marathon across the country, seemingly. Mm-hmm. Came up, designer, the smiley face guy. That was an accident.
He was a ship's captain and a multimillionaire.
You added his book.
So he was a good investor and a ship.
That was one of my favorite parts of the story, is that Forrest was the only shrimper who was dumb enough to be out shrimping in the hurricane.
Yeah.
So his was the only boat that survived because everyone else was lost at their, moorings or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then now he owns the whole shrimp industry because he's the only one with a fucking boat left floating. I liked that little part because it kind of made sense. Some of the other stuff, it's like, I don't know.
Why are you buying puppets, dude? Dude, 3 weeks ago you were going to be a sword guy.
How the mighty have fallen.
Puppet. Can you even do ventriloquism?
Of course I can. No, I can't do ventriloquism. Yes, I can do ventriloquism very well, Taylor.
I'm quite good at it.
We're all incredible.
What? He has light up eyes?
Of course he does. He's Lord Satan. Look, the
Why-
dogs.
Do you have multiple puppets, or do you just settle on the devil?
Calm down. No, I've just got the devil. I felt like I wanted the devil because the devil could maybe say horrific things. You know, I thought
What's
that
he
would be
gonna
neat.
say?
Just devil shit. You know, just that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The dogs.
Make him
are-
say it.
The dogs are terrified of him. The dogs are terrified of him. I get it out and just chase him around. It's great.
That's a good normal thing for your dogs to be afraid of. Is
The devil.
a devil puppet?
Yeah.
Most well-adjusted adults don't care for puppets.
I put it up on the bookshelf and it watches over me when I sleep.
You can't just have a devil puppet. Like this is like if you got into World War II memorabilia and it was all Nazi shit. Like
I just need the devil. I appreciate it. Maybe would you like it about an angel and they could have like a conversation?
Yes, I would.
Well, then you
prefer
should
that.
get the angel puppet then.
I'm not buying
We do a little-
puppets.
Come on, we'll do a little puppetry together.
No, that's gay. All right, I'll get a puppet.
They're on Amazon.
That much
Taylor's
is-
puppet curious. That didn't take a lot of convincing.
I think that's like a $50-$60 puppet.
wow, that's a big first step into the world, isn't it?
Well,
You dove in
yeah,
head
you know.
first.
I wanted the hat. I didn't know that. I
get
until I
it.
got my
You wanted
hand
to
in
have a
there. And I
puppet,
felt
but
the
you didn't want to appear foolish.
when I found that. Yeah, we don't want that.
No, you wouldn't want that.
We don't
The
want that at
finest
all.
puppet in the land.
You want to do the? You want to do
Does
that?
your girlfriend like it?
Oh, she loves it. Yeah, I put on puppet shows. I've got a whole green screen outfit that I wear.
Is
when
she
I
scared
scream.
when you light the eyes up?
Well,
Does
no,
she whimper?
she's an adult, so and a human.
And she whimpers, and then I put her in her fucking kennel.
She runs into her cage for,
You should
for
practice.
security.
Like practice this next week, and then like next show do like a who's on first like comedy stylings.
I was
It's a
thinking-
genius
puppet.
idea.
Yeah.
Well, I just think if I do a green screen and then I wear the green screen suit, then all you would see would be Satan, and he could just, you know.
Yeah. I want you to get the green screen suit, but don't invest in a green screen. Like just you're sitting there and in a gimp suit. You can see your mouth moving behind it.
Of course. You see my eyes. You see my eyes. Dude. Yeah.
Well, I spent my green screen money on the puppet budget. And so went for the $30 devil puppet.
No.
Or maybe it was a monster. I don't
Falcon.
know. Maybe it was one of the demons I've been asking for a while. Me and Satan over there.
Be wary with that.
I was telling
Might get what you're looking for.
we were playing poker and I told those guys that you had agreed at one point, Woody, to sell your soul to me. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, no. He said that I could bring like a demon, like a Satanist on board to like be the middleman, you know, sort of the notary. like I would show up with like a demonic notary public, basically, like a guy to
puppet
like.
one.
Yeah.
No, a real one. He'd have
Oh, a
to
real
join the-
one. My bad. I'm crazy.
No, like, yes, like I want him to do the real rituals or whatever. I want you to like prick your thumb and like maybe sign in blood or something, make an X in blood for us, and have a whole contract. And when I explained to them that you're willing to do that, they were all like, "I would never do that. I would never do that." Everyone I've told this to, and again, just to be clear, what the scenario is. A person who believes in the devil and worships them is going to show up with some old-timey fucking scroll and shit, and you are going to swear
An
to give
ancient
them their
tome.
soul in exchange for something and sign in blood and give it back to them. And you have no reservations, not even a little.
No. Imagine this. Imagine I had a quarter in my palm, right? And you were going to use all the satanic tricks that you could think of so that when I turned my hand over, that quarter wouldn't fall, right? Everything. You bring out a real Satanist, you sign in blood, all this. Do you think that quarter will fall when I turn my hand
Completely
over?
different
Why
scenario.
would a
We're not
demon
talking
want
about
to
moving
do that?
quarters. We're talking about bargaining your soul, another intangible thing that may exist as far as we know.
Yes.
But if this thing had any power, he'd be able to keep a quarter afloat.
No, if it had
No.
any power over material objects in our dimension, it would. But I'm talking about your everlasting soul if it exists, and we don't know if it exists.
Yeah, you could be selling your soul for a fucking piece
We're
of
talking
pizza.
about the thing that is you that might live on for eternity
am
being sold to a
so
demon who wants it.
confident that this doesn't exist. This isn't real.
I'm not.
I'm not either. I think it definitely is. Like it's not.
Oh, this is there's no soul, there's no magic.
Your parents would never do this.
Your parents wouldn't do this, and the vast majority of people throughout history believed in this stuff. Like,
yes, that is true. I will admit the vast majority of people in history believed in spiritual whatever, because there's things that we
the vast majority of people today believe in it.
Yeah, most people today believe in that.
It's carries over, right? They're from before they could talk, they were brainwashed with that.
Look
bullshit.
at Woody here. He knows something nobody else has ever known. Nobody knows today.
Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton, a fool because he was he believed in Christ. Yeah.
Einstein wasn't real.
There's no way I would sign a blood contract with a person who was actually a demon fucking worshiper. Like
I wouldn't do it with anyone. No chance. No way.
You know, would you? I mean, I've heard you jokingly invite Lord Satan into your heart and soul, so you want to be careful about that too.
Only joking.
Are you like doing one of these, like under the table?
I'm doing fingers crossed, and I would never, in sincerity, do something like that.
Yeah, that's you making the crucifix to protect yourself.
Yeah, the spirit worlds, afterlife, all that shit. It can't remotely be true.
Wow.
I mean, you are in the vast minority if you don't believe in any afterlife. The vast minority.
So you don't think there's anything supernatural at all ever?
Right.
Like there's no soul, no spirit.
When
no
you
angels,
die, the energy, the calories that your body has gets re-released into the universe.
So you think we're only material, nothing more?
Right. And I'm like wildly confident that there's nothing after this.
I feel like even physicists aren't wildly confident about the fabric of reality. Like they're always talking about dark energy and dark matter. Like, what is it? It's like, don't even think of it as energy or matter, and certainly don't think of it as dark. It's some stuff that we can measure but not quantify. It's a thing we can see but never touch, and it exists in greater quantities than anything that you can see and touch. You're like, holy fuck, is there like? Well, that's worrying to me.
Like and when you think like if a demon wanted to harm you, and like let's for the sake of argument say like demons, angels, religion, all that 100% true, like there would be no incentive for a demon to keep a quarter glued to your palm. What it would want to do is what it says they'd want to do in the Bible, which is convince you that it's not real, and to live for yourself and to do whatever you want all the time. And then you awaken into the afterlife in hell because it's not, that's one thing that some movies do get right about like the devil and demons and everything. And many get wrong is like, they aren't trying to bring brimstone into your kitchen and scare you to God. They would be trying to convince you that you had all you needed and your own faculties were the only thing you ever needed to rely on. And just keep living, get to the end of that life and it'll be nothing. And then it's not nothing. Like that would be the incentive for the demon, not to glue something to your hand like a
he doesn't want to do a magic show to give you faith.
Yeah.
He can't.
Well, then why doesn't God do a magic show to give you faith?
Because then what would the point of faith? That's not faith. That's knowledge.
I mean, oh my God. It seems like we just keep making up rules along the way.
No, we're defining the word faith.
Lack of evidence.
No, we're defining the word faith.
Right? Like there's never been evidence of this throughout all of history of mankind, but everyone believes in it, and that's why everyone believes in it.
Well, I'm not trying to defend religion. I'm just explaining why you can't have faith with proof. Like that's
like the purpose of it. Kyle's right. Like faith isn't faith if you're just watching a demon glue something to your palm.
It seemed like before everyone had cell phones with cameras in our pocket, like in Jesus's day, he was doing parlor tricks all the time. He's turning water into wine. He's walking on water. He's doing shit all the time. Nowadays, we've rewritten it, and it's, oh yeah, you know what? You got to believe in nothing. That's what faith is.
Not really. Like it's. I mean, he said like he was the final kind of revelation, Jesus. Like he was there and he was like, and I'm leaving. And
no, I'm with you on the parlor tricks. I'm
and
100% with you on the parlor tricks, and I don't believe. Just to be clear, I'm like 99% atheist on this, probably or agnostic at least. Like I kind of like the idea that maybe all those stories are based on something that happened. Like I don't know, maybe some fucking 4-dimensional being like from the third body problem that
con man.
I mean, con man's most likely for sure, but then again, there's like stories and tales that match up from lots of civilizations that kind of look weird.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest, if there's anyone out there who has any sort of demonologist or Satan worshiping or soul notary public transfer experience or skills, if you better have a Necronomicon or some kind, like a book. You better have a book. I want a scroll. I want quills. And I want you to I don't want you to look like Susie Homemaker. Like, yeah, we're Wiccan. No, get your fucking girlfriend's weird hobbies out of here. I want the devil man to show up. Not that guy that's talking about Gaia and the fucking earth spirit. I want a dude that wants to invite Lord Satan into his heart. He does it every night, every morning. I want someone who knows something about blood sacrifice. If we can get them on the show, I want to buy Woody's soul because I'm worried about my own. And I feel like if I've got his in my back pocket.
I do not want to do a show with a fucking Satanist. That's disgusting.
No, only
I need him to. You really don't want to like be part of me buying Woody's soul?
No, I want nothing to do with demons and Satan. No way. What's the trade-off there?
Well, I think it'd be very entertaining, and I get Woody's soul potentially.
What are you going to do? Sell it back to him when his life falls apart, Simpson style?
No. I'm keeping it. He's not getting it back for anything. But I figure maybe when I pass away, maybe a demon or an angel of some kind may come to me and say, "It says here you have the soul of the Woodworth," and I'll be like, "Yeah, that shit's mine. He sold it to me. I got that dude Clint. He hooked me up."
You definitely go to hell for buying a soul.
They'd be like,
devil himself.
No, they'd bargain with me. They'd have to do a deal with me. And I've got 2 souls instead of 1. So that first deal is clearly a trick. That first trick would be like a soul for a fucking timeshare property or something.
Cherry tomato.
Oh, I don't want that. I mean, cherry tomato might be helpful if you're in hell. But yeah, I'd like to have Woody's soul if at all possible. So if there's any like.
I've been trying to keep it good.
I doubt that. So if any of you out there who feel like you could handle this transaction in a believable and more importantly an entertaining fashion, like I would like that. I want someone wearing a black cloak. You know what I mean? And like we try to crack jokes, and he's just like, yeah, it's all very amusing, sir. Again, place your hand on the Black Bible. Your right hand, yes, sir.
That's racist.
And your other on your heart.
They use the same.
Very
Bible,
good.
Kyle.
Very good.
I don't think they would.
Now
swear
repeat
on,
after me.
I don't think they'd swear on the Bible.
It's a black Bible.
Yeah,
Black Bible. Yeah, these are all those books that were removed. The book of
black people use
the book of the
Bible.
Morning Star.
Ooh, that's spooky. Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want to be around that.
I want it.
No.
He's wearing an upside down crucifix or something, or maybe a pentagram, and he's like bleeding when he shows up, and he's all like, "Yes, it's very amusing, sir. Once again, you are. I understand why people watch now. Again, your hand on the Black Bible, sir.
An unironic
after
Satanist
me.
is like a
He starts
ghoul.
speaking Latin, like what he's repeating after him in Latin. Oh, this could be fun.
I don't sell your soul, Woody. Don't sell your soul to the devil.
I mean,
I
this
don't
is
know,
equivalent to bringing in a Warhammer expert to get my soul. Like this is total.
See, that's where he is on
fiction.
this.
That's,
the fact that
I just don't see it that way at all.
I don't see it that way either, and I'm not religious anymore. I'm really not. But it's one of those things where like, what if you were dying? Would you throw one up? Like, just in case you're up there. I did try to be a good man. I did do my best, and I hope you look down and it made you proud.
If it made
You're
someone
real.
else feel good, I'd do that for sure.
Oh, see what I'm talking about, Taylor? He's just zero belief. I've got a little, like you shake the tank and you can hear some in there.
Yeah.
Woody's canteen, just sand comes out.
Yeah, I've definitely got the
Here you go.
most of us.
Here you go, Mr. Frodo. You can have some from mine. And there's just a little left in there for me. But Woody's canteen's fucking dry on the faith. My goodness.
Yeah, I don't.
I would not sell my soul.
No, I would never sell my soul. That's a bad move.
I've
No,
seen enough
there's-
Supernatural to know better.
Yeah.
There's been episodes of that.
I
where
can't argue against that. I mean, geez, you've got to. I mean, now I'm stumped.
I mean,
Now you're being
that's a
ridiculous,
documentary.
Yeah.
So say what you will. Just as all things are possible through God, I'm pretty sure the devil might be the good guy anyway. You know, the I feel like history's written by the victors.
Mm-hmm.
Churchill had some great quotes like that.
People.
Yeah, the
if
devil's
anyone.
absolutely not the good guy.
Churchill said
How
something
many people
like,
does God kill?
I think Churchill said,
I don't
"History
know.
will look upon me fondly.
Lots.
I know because I'll write it," or something like that.
How many
That
people
is-
has the devil killed?
A lot.
Is
Yeah.
it? I thought it was like 3 or something.
Killed?
I can't win on biblical knowledge. I'll lose
Like
every
str-
time.
I don't. Did the devil ever kill a person? I don't think so.
Oh, like
No.
like in the Bible, killing someone.
Yeah, I mean, he had a war in heaven against the other angels.
He
Like-
rebelled against God, and now the only power he has is to corrupt God's ultimate creation,
Oh,
which is
says
man,
God.
which is causing us to stumble and not go to heaven and go to hell. And so, in that way, countless people have fallen to the devil.
I'm just saying. I feel like God asks a lot, gives very little. The devil.
Eternal salvation.
That doesn't sound like fun to me. Eternal salvation. What does that even mean? Why didn't he promise like houses and like?
Taylor, I'll give you
hookers?
eternal salvation for 19.
At least I'll say this about the.
No,
I'll say
you're
this
not
about the
God.
I mean,
if the
You-
Muslims
you really want to
interpretation
risk
is right,
that? I might be.
like
No, you're definitely
72
not.
virgins. 72 virgins sounds way better than eternal salvation.
I mean, I don't know as much about Muslim belief, but I
Yeah, I don't
believe
either.
eternal salvation is also part of their doctrine.
Yeah, but they get pussy like
they have
codified in.
heaven and hell. And no, and again, I don't know enough about Islam, but I think that 72 virgin thing is only for like
Martyrs?
someone who dies, like a martyr.
Oh, fucking! I got you. I ate that bacon for you, Lord. My whole life, and it took me down.
And they took. Wait,
72 virgins.
so you're a Muslim who's eating bacon, and you're
Oh,
expecting
I
the
forgot
virgins?
about that. They don't like that, do they?
No.
Shit. I couldn't.
Yeah,
just
of all
You
the
thought they were
sacrifices
trying to
you could have
spite
made, you
Jews?
ate bacon.
Yeah, I ate bacon. I didn't know. Damn.
Yeah.
I got.
They would have been like, this guy just fundamentally did not understand the assignment. Like, he just really didn't get what we were going for at all here.
That doesn't seem like the kind of religion where you
The hell
plead
with
ignorance either. They just be fucked her up.
No.
Yeah, I believe just enough to not sell my fucking soul to a demon man.
Yeah, don't
I'm
sell
shocked
yourself.
that you would. That's the one I want to know. I want to know, like y'all.
See, a lot of
listeners
people
out
do this.
there.
They're like, you know what? I've lived my entire life without even the smallest shred of evidence this is true. But a lot of people say it is, so I'm gonna hedge my bets. And I don't know. I go with my gut.
I think the whole point of it is there is no evidence. That's what faith's about. So the lack of evidence.
How convenient.
What's the definition of the word? You know.
Well,
It's
I mean,
belief without evidence.
That's like what all of Christianity is and all these religions.
Trust.
It's like you're saved, or at least in Christianity, by God's grace through your faith.
I was not given the
through
gift of faith. This
actions.
is really on God.
You can work
think-
on it.
No, because
It's a
he wanted to
gift.
know what kind of bear it was earlier. His mind works differently.
He said he didn't know. This does come back to the bear thing.
Like, people look at problems differently.
Oh,
Yeah.
sales are
No evidence.
Whoa. Zach Pace it. Souls are inalienable. Consequently, they cannot be sold even to the devil. Any such putative deal would be invalid before God. It would be a mortal sin to attempt such a deal, but the deal would be invalid and would not result in the transfer of ownership of the soul. Thus, the individual's soul always remains his own, and if he properly repents in such a deal before death, he no longer has the mortal sin either. Sounds like Kyle was about to get conned.
Conned.
Yeah, you can't sell his soul, but I'm gonna get I don't even
A
know what I
quarter.
was
You
getting.
you,
A
you
quarter?
agreed to like a nominal fee, so I can't get scammed. You
I thought they were
can
like
get your mortal
1995.
sin though, and I.
Oh, this is the best proof I've seen of devil yet. I'm looking at him.
I get your soul, Woody.
Yeah, you can't sell him, I guess.
You can't sell them. Not yours to sell.
Yeah. Well, even if I don't get the soul, like maybe I can be a middleman for Lord Satan, just slide it across the table to him. I know I can't handle it, maybe, but I could just sort of like wedge it over.
You're
there.
gonna
even
go
to
to
the
hell
devil.
to be a middleman.
For all we know, hell is like the place
You
wanna
aspire
go.
to be a middle manager.
All the
I
of
bet
hell?
I bet
people are in
heaven.
hell.
I bet heaven. He like plugs your soul into some sort of God machine that's giving him all of his power, and you exist as some sort of energy slave for all eternity. And he's like, salvation for all eternity, my child, my battery, my power. and you're like, God's eyes flash a little, and you realize he's not the good guy, and Jesus is like the slave master. He's like walking. He's just a jailer.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's retarded.
And then but then someone the energy bubble next to you that's power him goes, don't worry. On the moon, Satan will come for us. He has promised this, and we're all down there like praying to Satan because he's the good guy. He didn't like God abusing humanity like this. See, God told us that Satan got jealous of mankind, but in reality, he pitied mankind because they'd been created to just be an energy source, to live painful lives, and then to die and be power.
Satan
for God.
introduced sin to humans.
Yeah, that's how. It's not sin, knowledge, right? It was the tree of right and wrong, or the tree of knowledge, or whatever. That doesn't sound like the
tree
bad
of good
thing.
and evil. Yeah,
the tree of good and evil. Again, it sounds like Satan was showing up and saying, "Don't be brainwashed. You've got to understand the master plan. First, eat this apple." And we were like, "Holy shit, you're right. Now you got to eat this orange." And then God showed up, and we never got to eat the orange of fucking truth and darkness, or whatever the fuck.
No, they got in trouble because Satan tricked Eve into eating from the tree of good and evil.
Again, that's God's version of the story.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with God.
Are you? Yeah. He named himself,
He named himself God?
Yeah.
Well, who else is gonna do it? There was nobody around.
I mean, he could have called himself the boss, or
he does seem
coach,
pretty conceited, right?
He could have been coach,
for the 10 Commandments
father.
About worshiping him.
Yeah. No graven image, no God before me. My name in vain.
It's no other gods.
Dude's
no
got
idols.
a huge ego.
Don't take the Lord's name in vain. And then all the rest are like, honor your parents, don't steal, don't murder, don't envy.
Adultery's one.
Adultery, stuff like that.
Coveting thy neighbor's wife.
Man, quick. I like the pictures here.
Yeah, I appreciate
no other gods before me, no idols. Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Keep Sabbath day holy. Honor your father and mother. No murder, no adultery, no stealing, no lying, no coveting.
1, 2, and 3 are about worshiping him properly. This guy has an ego problem.
He needs the energy. My whole point. It's something about worshiping him is giving him energy, and he's using it.
Sounds like he just wants a monopoly on the con man market.
That's a very matrixy interpretation, Kyle. I don't agree with it. I don't like it.
I'm just a little worried that we're only getting one viewpoint on reality.
I'm not gonna take Satan's word for anything. He's a bad guy.
I think you need to broaden your information diet.
We didn't read his book. How's the shadow people? Have you been? How are they?
The true question.
Very little. I think I saw one shadow person very briefly a couple of months ago. So my office, the door is kind of right over here, just off camera. And I was just sitting here doing my thing, and I saw a humanoid kind of shadow walk by. I looked at it, and I looked down at the dog, and the dog didn't look. And I was like, well, that's probably not real. And I kind of went back to my editing.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not. It's not.
Let's hope that dog hasn't gotten used to the intruder living in your home.
No, I've always had to rely on pets for a little gauge of reality. If you hear a weird noise or see a weird thing, is the dog interested in it? If the dog's not interested, it's probably all up here.
You've got a whole canary in the coal mine thing going on for your hallucinations.
Yeah, pretty much. Those are extremely infrequent as an adult. As a kid and a teenager, not so much. As an adult, very managed.
Yeah, mine are very infrequent. I had none. And then we're hoping that it stays that way, but you never know.
Dude, this is just the other night. Like I had just watched. I watch a lot of like campy, shitty horror movies late at night. I enjoy them. I like them. But like you still like if there's a ghoulish face or something, it might stick out to you. And like I don't really get spooked too much. It just holds my attention. And I was going to bed, and like I was looking at those like side. Like taller windows that are to the side of your door that you like kind of see through. I was walking down my hall, and I looked, and I saw like an angle off of it that looked like the same ghoulish face of that like monster from the movie. And I was like, I didn't respond, but I felt my heart rate go like pop, 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 pop. And then I like looked a little closer, and it was like, oh, that's the light playing tricks. And then I went to bed. I can't imagine spending the rest of the night with what you did, where you're like, it's probably not a demon,
Probably, it's almost certainly
Hang on.
not a demon.
So I think this is a thing that men do and women don't do when they see something scary at night, because I've always do the same thing and I don't know why. When I see something that I don't know what it is in like the dark, I freeze and I stare.
I don't
And
want to let whatever it is know that I'm afraid.
Yes, but what it really is I'm computing in my mind. I'm like, my mind is like taking that smudgy figure I see and like, you know, like fucking moving it
Your
around,
CSI,
and transposing it,
enhanced,
trying
smooth.
to figure out like coat rack. Yep, it's a hoodie on a chair. Okay, hoodie on a chair with a demon mask next to it. That's not my mask. Oh no. You know, you gotta figure that out, right? Like real quick. But I've noticed when my girlfriend would see something scary, it's always and run. She like I think it's the difference between fight or flight. Not that I'm down to do combat with the demon. I want to run too, but it's just not my first inclination. I'm always just like, you know how a dog will do that like instinctive like pointer thing where like they all stick their tails out and like I think there's something like that with us too. I think maybe so. I hate
kind of
seeing scary
hunting
things at night.
instinct, investigation, evolutionarily just built in. It defaults to most men. Also, a desire to know what the fuck is going on, because if something is actually wrong, it would be best to know what is actually wrong instead of I'll just go to bed and not think about it.
I saw this really cool thing on YouTube, and they were what they did was they take these blurred images of animals and they show them to people, and at first it's so blurred it's just a jumble of nonsense, and eventually it's a clear picture of what's being shown. And on frame 3 people can identify the snake, because we've our ancestors, the primates that we evolved from, the simians, were so keyed into like evolving the ability to pick out snakes in their environment. They were such a problem, and they said that the eyesight in Asian and African simians was especially acute, because those were the ones that did evolve alongside snakes, whereas the primates from, I can't remember the other region that they pointed out, but like those guys didn't have any snakes. Oh, it was those little fucking cute ass monkeys on like in New Zealand or somewhere like that. They're like, these guys can't see for shit because they don't need to. but like on
is it the like lemurs of Madagascar,
something like that? But they show the viewer like in the video they've got these frames, and it's like, dude, I didn't know that was a bird until like frame 8. On frame 3, I'm like you can see like the coil and like that threatening pose. It's pretty cool.
I wonder if it can't beat a human.
Oh, and then they did these brain scans of
fighter pilots, bombers.
Then they did, then they had like
you got me, Superman.
Oh, for 3. Strike. Just too high IQ. Yeah. That's definitely true. Like, I would imagine spiders. Did they do a spider part of that test, Kyle?
No,
because snakes and spiders are two things that like you could easily step on accident back when like we were in ancient times, prior to ancient, like we're cavemen with barely any communication.
Monkeys in the trees.
Yeah, monkeys in the trees. They scream about snakes. They scream about birds of prey too, because they're they're smaller, like macaques or whatever. Macaque, is that what those are? Those little tiny African macaque monkeys. But yeah, they can get like scooped up by birds, and so they have like different phrases and sounds, whether they're like "Hey, snake" or like "bird." Like they make different chirps based on that, which is really cool. Tell us about another time the shadow people were.
Oh, good. Okay, that's more
light.
fun.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I saw a glowing
and did they always
light
look
one time,
or did?
Well, I've seen the old hag, not the Hat Man.
Excuse me.
Glowing lights.
Oh, you've never seen that? Yeah. Wait. You just said Hat Man. So like
my wife
I got
saw
into
Hat
reading
Man.
about does she abuse Benadryl?
No, none of us do. No Ambien, no Benadryl, none of that kind of stuff. Or a fun one. I used to live on a property that was formerly owned by a cult, and it was really weird. And it was kind of haunted-y. So some of my Spanish in-laws thought it'd be a great idea to have an exorcism. So I got to watch that when I was a little kid, which was bizarre. Short version, we bought a house way out in the middle of nowhere in Texas. It bedded like 18, but mostly in weird bunk beds that were built into the attic. And it was very fish, like greenhouse, very self-sustaining. And the people that lived there all of a sudden moved like overnight and sold it like dirt cheap.
This is a lot to ingest,
dude. Who are you?
Huh? I'm a lot of people and a lot of things.
You were growing up in fucking Waco or something. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot more remote than Waco, but yeah.
Damn.
The town had 40 people.
Oh, David Koresh was terrified of our compound.
Yeah.
We
Anyway.
kicked him out for his simpleton views. He wasn't extreme enough for us.
The house was very weird. There was always weird noises, always weird shit going on. You could never sleep because something would go bump in the night. Nothing like super horrifying or shadow people or whatever, but it fucked with everybody in the house. Mostly would come from my brother's room, which was weird because we thought he was getting up in the night. So we would make him sleep downstairs and it would still happen. Or if he slept up there, he said he would never hear anything, but downstairs sounded like a nightmare. And it happened once when one of my in-laws was at the house and she happened to be a devout Spanish Catholic, and it freaked her right properly the fuck out. And she came back with some of her friends. I don't think they were priests. And they started putting oils on the walls and crosses and out with you demons, and then shit in Spanish that I couldn't understand, and consecrating and cursing and blessing. And I'd seen scary movies growing up. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to see this. I've never seen an exorcism or a blessing or a demon warding, whatever it is that they're doing, because I don't speak Spanish. I don't know. And I was very pissed off because I was the only person not allowed to witness the exorcism because I was the only person in the house that was unbaptized. And they were all afraid that the ghost or whatever would go into me. So I had to go way on the other side of the property while they banished evil spirits or whatever. And the short version is it didn't do a goddamn thing. All the spooky stuff kept happening.
So
of course, because
Jesus
it's all
Christ.
fake.
Woody, are you baptized?
Yeah, I believe these people buy NFTs.
Drifter, you're
Yeah,
not baptized.
probably.
You're not baptized?
Me?
Drifter? Yeah.
I am now.
I'm the only one. Huh.
I guess I don't think I'm as remotely
You've never
religious
been
as I used to be, so I
baptized?
don't know if that counts, but I did get baptized, yes.
Dude,
I'm
you're
not-
going to hell so hard, man.
You know, I don't know why, but like we used to do that thing.
Dude, I
don't
can't
know.
wait. Me and Woody gonna be fucking high-fiving, riding a tandem bike up in heaven.
Oh God.
On a cloud somehow. Taylor, I'm not getting any traction.
Can I just?
I'll hit you guys with a less crazy one, more of a funny one. It was when I was like 16, 17 years old. I had moved away from that bad place to a, we'll say, different place in Mississippi. I lived in a very small house. We were not rich people. My dad made like $4,000 a year, and there was a little bit of subsistence hunting kind of stuff going on. And I was big into video games. I'd play.
Hold on.
Yeah.
$4,000 a year.
Forget that, Taylor. Could you just say the words that you hunted for your own food?
A little bit. It wasn't anything crazy. You catch fish from the river, you shoot a deer here and there. If a redneck has something they want a trophy and not the meat, I'll take it.
This is awesome.
Yeah, so stuff like that. My wife would eat raccoons and stuff and possums and whatever the fuck. They're really chewy and gamey, but we did a lot of that.
Did you kill them or find them by the roadside?
You're not supposed to.
Kill them. I just pop them, shoot them with the 22. But the point is, we lived kind of broke as a really small little house. And I lived in a really small little room. We didn't have any heat or air. So whatever it was outside, it just was inside. And I had to deal with it. But I would sit there on my little TV and I'd play video games. And I was big into video games. One night I go to bed, everything's normal. And I hear this giant fucking crash and slam and like glass breaking. And the only thing I can think is that my brand new fan that I got installed, by the way, I'd lived like 3 years with no fan in the summer. I was super happy to have my fan.
That blows.
I thought the fan had fallen down because we used the cheapest repairman possible. And I thought, fuck, I'm going to have to spend all summer with no fan. So I get up and go kind of like around the walls of my room to avoid stepping on glass and turn on the light. And everything is fine. Everything is totally fine and normal. And I'm like, have I lost my mind? And then I look over to my little desk where I would do my homework, and there's a giant pile of old video games. And when I say old, I mean 1980s old, like the Ghostbusters game and Super Mario Duck Hunt, the original boxes in pretty good conditions. And what was weird about this is these were things that I had owned eons ago, right? Desk was clean when I went to bed. These are things that I had not seen in 10 plus years at that point. When you give something to a 3-year-old in 1989, it tends to get torn up. I remember moving and throwing them away. And then suddenly in the middle of the fucking night, for no reason, there's a whole pile of vintage games just sitting on my desk. There's no explanation, no nothing.
Drifter, I find you to be a charming and talented man. I really enjoy it when you're on. I look forward to it because
there's a but though.
But when you talk about things like this, I think that, I hope that everyone's ears are perking up and hearing these things, and look, I have a side of me that thinks that there's a chance that you are haunted by demons. I am not made that a zero-sum thing. Okay, you may be haunted by demons. I want you to do paranormal videos where you like film yourself, like do like set up one of those night vision cameras by your bed, dude, and like if anything ever happens and you could string this together, I'd be a viewer, because you creep me out by telling me this stuff the same way what's our friend who came out a while back who does the scary stories, it's the
You're muted, Taylor.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. Wendigoon.
Wendigoon, yeah.
Oh yeah, Wendigoon.
When you start telling me like stuff about your childhood or adolescence, or maybe even the last few years, this stuff about seeing things, it creeps me out the way that Wendigoon. I want to get his name right because I do like him. I watch his videos all the time. It's just
I think it's like Wendigo, but Wendigoon.
Yeah, but it's because I think there's a mythical monster called a Wendigo.
Wendigo.
Is it Wendigo? Yeah,
Skinwalker kind of eats people.
Exactly.
Yeah, it pretends to be people, and that's like and
that's one of those monsters. That's one of those monsters that like something that takes the form of humans. Those are the ones that, like, if you're whatever you want to call it, open-minded or goofy or silly enough or whatever to believe in crazy stuff, that's one of the ones that can make sense to like sneak by. Like, no, you don't understand. Of course, we don't know they exist. They take the form of what we see every day, people.
Looks like a normal guy just walking down the street, or maybe minding his own business in the woods. You don't know.
It's like The Thing, which is the greatest horror movie ever.
Or maybe like reptilians, taking the form of humans, the whole overlord
the
thing.
Reptilian part,
like they live.
It doesn't make sense because like the like reptilian conspiracy thing, it says they're underground. They're cold-blooded. They'd be way too hot.
So it'd be warm down there.
It'd be warm.
They need that to stay warm. They need that to live.
They'd live on geothermals, and to live above ground, they want to. They've taken positions of power.
No, it's not like basking in the sun hot down there. It's unbelievably hot.
It depends how deep you go, Taylor. Okay, have you been to the mines of Korgoroth? I think
no. I'm making this up as I go along.
Have you seen the steam pools of the deep Gogala?
Yeah, if I hadn't, I wouldn't have made.
Where the reptile men are numbered in the millions, and the reptile women do whatever you want.
Do you think they have tits?
You ever seen one of those? You ever seen one of those alligator cloacas? That little slit. It's like humans could learn a few things about vaginas from alligators.
Oh god.
Right?
And dolphins.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And dolphins. Like I saw a Impractical Jokers bit where like he's like, you ever wonder what dolphin puss looks like? He has to say that to a pretty woman, and she literally goes, I think it's just kind of circular. Like she just rolls with it, and it's just like, damn.
Love it.
Dude, every once in a while they run up against a cool person who's as down to be silly.
Yeah, but back to the thing. I worry that maybe like you're hallucinating, right? Do you think you're hallucinating?
Probably. That's the most logical thing, right?
And I'm not trying to be shitty. I'm not trying to be shitty about this, or like we've talked about this when you weren't here, and I don't want you to think that like I'm doing that behind your back or anything like that.
Kyle's fascinated by this whole thing.
Okay, I don't get offended easily, so it's no worries.
Yeah, don't think that I'm like behind your back, like laughing it up about.
No.
Or
it's ridiculous. I tell these stories because
the situation is just ridiculous, and it's interesting to me, like genuinely.
Yeah. Last time you were on, Kyle was like, "Guys, we should have stayed on the paranormal shit the whole 4 hours. I'm fascinated."
I could go on about that forever because so much like weird shit happened. But the short version is Woody's gone. I feel like he just didn't want to hear this shit, and he probably
no. He's I think he's doing some home improvement stuff.
He's pooping or getting a snack.
Yeah.
The reality is that a lot of this happened at a very not so great time in my life. My home life was broken. I was moving a lot. I was stressed out a lot. I was the kind of kid that would have to stay up late at night and keep the shoes by the bed because you might have to bounce like that. And it's very realistic to say that the stress of that does not do good things to the psyche of children.
For sure.
So as I move into adulthood, these things happen far less frequently. They do still happen. So I think, well, did this shit really happen? Which your subreddit tore me a whole new asshole about this, about supposedly lying or whatever.
Oh.
But the practical version is I have to think, well, it only happened experientially in here, most likely, because I don't live my life making decisions based on what I think shadow people or demons or whatever the fuck are going to do. I'm a very logical, scientific person.
That's what I appreciate about what you're saying, because you're not coming here and you're like Dan Aykroyd, for example, a guy that I really am a huge fan of since I was a kid. I think he's a brilliantly funny man from SNL and Ghostbusters and all the writing he's done. But he's a whack job when you hear him speak. And when he talks about aliens or secret societies, and he's got that really quick Chicago accent, and he's explaining it to you, and you're just like Crystal Skull vodka, and then you start talking about aliens, and you're just like, okay, you're a whack.
Dan Aykroyd is into aliens and
Yeah, his whole family used to be psychic mediums. And stuff.
Dan Aykroyd is incredibly wacky. You know his character in Ghostbusters, how he's like a paranormal psychologist.
Yeah, but I thought that was just him.
No,
they were all kind of paranormal.
A lot of the wackadoo writing is him going to Ivan Reitman, who just passed away, and being like, "Oh, we got to have some stuff about the occult in here." Like they wrote that fucking movie, and he has always been wacky like that with the occult, conspiracies, aliens. And he believes stringently in it. He has that Crystal Skull vodka company. And
wait, that's his company?
Yes.
Yeah. He makes a lot of money selling that
is
to
that is
people,
like so many people know that like you walk through like your grocery store and go through the alcohol aisle, and like so much of it is just the coolness of the designs that gets you, where you're like, okay, well this one looks like a wine bottle and it's $7.99. This one looks cool as shit. It's got a skull and it's $11.99. I'm gonna always go skull. It's cooler.
That is one of the best gimmicks ever.
I've never had that.
It's not great vodka, but it's not awful vodka, and you get a skull out of it. It's cool. Like you can fill it up with sand of different colors, like do one of those little sand art things. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I saw someone take this glow in the dark sand that you can like, and they filled it up with that, and then the whole skull would just glow under black light. I don't know. They're neat little props to like throw on a desk or something like that too.
I think
but what I was getting at, I'm sorry, I don't want to get away from the point.
No, go for it.
That's a wacky guy who I think is just a loon. I don't think that of you at all.
I appreciate that. A lot of people do.
But when you casually talk about this stuff, it can lend itself there. But what I see from you is not someone who's trying to convince me that there are paranormal things happening. It's someone who's telling me about what you're talking about, your mental illness essentially, and how like traumatic events have triggered this more at certain points in your life, and how you basically see things that aren't there, and I don't know how you cope with that, because if I thought like right now I've got my monitors in front of me, some lighting and shit, but like across that room there's a door over there. If I ever looked up, and I'm alone at my house right now, if I ever looked up and I saw something look at me through there, it would upset me so much that I don't think I could live alone anymore. I talked about this with someone like yesterday because someone asked me who was coming on, and we had a very similar discussion to what we're having right now. But I told him like I couldn't even live alone anymore, I don't think. And I don't think like getting a full-time like live-in girlfriend would do the trick. I think I'd have to move back in with my father to feel safe again. If there were dark men in my house, like that sounds silly.
Well, no, that's
if there's static man or shadow,
if there's dark shadow people or something like, and something I'm interested in with what Drifter said is,
I'd be so scared.
When you described experiencing it as a kid, you talk about like seeing a figure for extended periods of time. When you described it just now as an adult, you were like a fleeting image in the corner. Like, is that how it tends to be now as an adult? It's more of a fleeting, like it could be a shadow, and it's just your childhood reminding you like, oh, that could be that.
Yeah, something like that. As an adult, very fleeting. I don't hallucinate things very infrequently. 3-4 times a year tops if it's busy. Audio is a little more frequent, but it's usually just very, very small things. It's not whispering voices and crazy shit like that. But I think the improvement came to an improvement to my psyche when I left the very toxic environment. But that doesn't change the memories of these things. And as a kid, I was rationally, like you, very scared. I wouldn't stay certain places. I wouldn't do certain things alone. I wouldn't go places. I wouldn't touch things. And they take me to child psychologists, and I would tell them about these things. None of them were impressed. I got a variety of medications, which kids probably shouldn't have.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, even though I'm very cognizantly aware that there's like a 99% chance that everything I see exists only up here, it doesn't change the reality of the memories for me. Like, so Kyle, or Taylor, you're very reasonable people. If a very unreasonable thing happened, a very spooky shadow person or ghost just peeked around the corner and said, fuck you, Kyle, and then just disappeared, and you saw it for real, totally for real. You couldn't unremember it. You couldn't remember it like any other different way.
It would be in your mind forever.
So let me ask you this. I like where you've led me here. The memories that you have of these encounters, let's call them, are they just as grounded? Do they feel just as real as like your 15th birthday party or something like that?
100%. That's why when I first started my YouTube channel, I can see you laugh already. I endeavored to tell these stories, and I told almost all of them in about a 10 or 15 part series, so that as I get older and my memory changes and you recall and you retell and things change, so that at least the best memory I had available at the time existed as a sort of log. But I do remember them as real. Matter of fact, I had something happen when I was 15. It was a bunch of weird noises that made me leave my house. I didn't really like it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I just fucking left and went to a friend's house. And I had a very awkward conversation telling my friend that, I want to spend the night here because something is following me around the house and making noises. Like, I don't expect you to believe that, but just humor me.
Oh, not only would I believe it, but I would be like, Mom, he's back. You promised you'd do something. like, Mom, you said you'd call the police this time. He keeps coming back. You know he's haunted, right? I saw it too. They say if he sleeps at your house, it kills you in 7 days. There's no way.
Don't watch any VHS he brought with him.
You're being drug away by your mom. You're like, it's Jurassic Park.
That's very interesting. Like,
no. God,
it's weird.
So
scary,
you said that the visual hallucinations as a kid, very intense, as an adult, fleeting, and it's more almost maybe an anomaly in the corner of your eye that triggers an internal memory of a similar shaped thing. Is auditory the same thing where when you were a kid, it was full sentences, full voices, and now it's more of just kind of something curious that you don't think exists?
Well, weirdly, I had no voices as a kid. Nothing really talked so much. Every now and then you would get thoughts that weren't yours. So to speak, more of an idea and less of a words, a voice babbling.
Time out again.
Okay.
So up until now, again, I don't know much, but up until now, it seems like you've described a lot of things that seemed like they were external. You experienced them as external events, but now you described something that you experienced as an internal event, something where you had a feeling or a thought that didn't feel like it was yours, which is maybe a sister mental illness, but I don't think coincides with the same mental illness. I wish next time you come on, we're going to have a doctor here.
Okay. Yeah, you can bring a doctor. I'm sure I'll give them all sorts. I'm keeping doctors busy right now, as a matter of fact.
And I'm glad that you're open to it, and you realize that I'm not trying to like make light of this. That I'm genuinely like interested.
I'm telling these stories because they're interesting. I think it is interesting content.
Hey, yo, if here's a question for y'all or two of y'all because one just left. So if you was moving into a house and you found out that somebody was murdered in that house, would that affect your purchasing?
Nah, I might try to use it in the negotiation, but it's the same thing that we had a guest who there's this Van Wiki guy who deals in cars, and he suggested like whatever color the car is, be like, oh, I hate this color. It's try to haggle them down a little bit. So the same thing. If that had happened in a house, you're like, oh, I'm very paranoid. I don't like this. That bothers me. That's weirding me out. I just don't know about this. But in reality, like, show me right where the chalk line is. I'll put the bed over that. That wouldn't bother me a bit because I
got a ton of money off my house by saying I felt ghosts, and that you don't want to try and sell this to someone who's afraid of ghosts. I'm not afraid of ghosts, and so take advantage of this. Got $20,000 off.
We had I forget if our sale fell through or if maybe they just tried to use it, but when I was selling my Apex house, they said that because a former YouTuber lived there, they didn't want any part of it. I think they had like Googled and such and found stories of the SWAT team coming and random mail coming and stuff like that. And I didn't realize that it would make my house less desirable, but it did.
Yeah.
I'd never thought about that.
Yeah, I say that because the house I'm living in now, we bought it and there was a murder suicide in it.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
How many? Just two people, or was there like more?
So a lady lived here, and I guess the dude came over and shot her and then killed himself.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's wild. But
yeah,
that was like when they told, because they didn't tell us that till the very end, right?
In the house you're currently in?
Yeah, house I'm currently in this room. Actually, no, I was joking, but
right here.
nah.
I'm just joking. It's under the
He
bed.
was recording his own podcast. Hi, this is How Not to Get Murdered with Nick Stevenson.
Yeah, nah, it didn't bother me at all. Like, why would it? Like, people die every day.
I don't
doesn't
believe in
bother me
ghosts.
either. I don't believe in ghosts and
I don't believe in
spirits
ghosts.
and all that.
Yeah, there is, Woody. If there were ghosts, then there are some places on this planet and in this very country or in this very state that would be fucking swarming with fucking ghosts all the fucking time. And at least a few of them wouldn't have the etiquette to only come out when one guy's around, right? Like go to like a Civil War battlefield or like fucking Hiroshima or Nagasaki or any of those fucking German cities that we firebombed. Those places,
Dresden.
Sure. Any of those places where like 200,000 people died right here in this fucking city.
Any
There should be
city,
crawling
period,
every
right?
fucking where. Well, you like
People die all the time.
I think the idea is that like ghosts are caused by like traumatic deaths, right?
Yeah, you
And
don't get to be a ghost if you have like a heart attack.
Yeah,
I didn't even know
That's
that.
fucked
Yeah.
You only get to be a ghost if you have to correct something, right?
Is this
Yeah,
commonly accepted ghost lore?
absolutely
I'm making it up
is.
as I go along.
The ghost is like an imprint caused by the extreme emotional energy left behind by their death.
But even that is kind of fucked up too, because I mean, you're a ghost and like you lived a traumatic event and now you're stuck in the same fucking place that like at least let me travel the world as a ghost. Like I could just like there's two people in this fucking house, they just stay in this house. Like go somewhere else and play, bro.
I agree. Like that would, but honestly, like what if you were a shitty person and then you got murdered and you're a ghost and now you have to avenge your death, but you know as soon as you avenge your death, you're going to pass on and go to hell.
Oh, you got
so you would never avenge
your
death. You would just be like the that fucking Salem house or whatever it is.
Little spiritual purgatory.
Yeah. My girlfriend is afraid of ghosts and demons and shit, and I've told Woody and Kyle this before, but we were watching I love watching horror movies, and so we were watching The Conjuring I think we were watching The Conjuring, and that's like have you seen that? Arian?
No, I don't watch
good horror movie, man.
Okay, it's a horror movie, and it's about like ghosts and demons and stuff. And I don't believe in that stuff, so I'm not really afraid of it. I'm more afraid of like serial killers, or like someone who will kidnap you and torture you, or something
Eat
horrible,
my butthole.
or eat my dirty homeless ass, that kind of thing. We were watching
dirty homeless ass.
We were watching The Conjuring. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, I got to do it, but
gotta do it, man.
we were watching The Conjuring, and she was terrified. Like you could see the bathroom from where we were sitting, and she's like, "I gotta go pee." As I'm like, I paused it. I'm like, "All right, go pee." She's like, "Will you walk me to the bathroom? Like I can see it right there." But I still got up and walked to the bathroom, and she went and came back, and she's like, "This is just so scary." Like I'm like, "Babe, none of this is real. Like demons are make believe. It's fine." She's like, "No, they're not. They are real. They're real." And I was like, "No, they're not. Watch this. Satan, come into my heart. I am an open vessel. Use me as you will." and said shit like that. And she was like slapping me my shoulder, like, "Stop it! Stop inviting Satan into your heart." And I'm like, "Oh, Lord of Darkness, come inside. Seize my body. Make me your will." And I was doing shit like that. And she was not enthused. It scared the shit out of her.
That's when you needed like half an Alka-Seltzer to pop in your mouth and then just like fucking seize up, hit the floor, go into a seizure and start foaming at the mouth, and then just pop up and just look around like all creepy and walk out of the house.
Ask her what happened.
Or just be like say I was joking, and like 5 minutes later, just in the middle of the movie, be like, that kind of shit. Yeah, that made me laugh so fucking hard.
Where's the knife drawer? What?
Do you want to know how Satan got into my heart? I invited him, and I'm the Joker now.
Really got to me. If you want to be terrified, watch The Fourth Kind and watch Fire in the Sky. And there's one more. I can't remember the name of it, but the premise is that weird stuff is going on in this guy's house, so he installs cameras like Paranormal Activity style, and it's aliens instead of demons. They're coming to take his kid. and they're like this. They're the super scary kind of aliens that I'm talking about, whose like technology is so overwhelming that like door locks don't work, and like you can't you're paralyzed, and guns don't fire, and like they can pause time and shit like that. That's the kind of scary, horrible thing that I'm afraid of. That and demons, because there is that once again, I can't be definitely sure that there are not demons and angels and all that stuff. That stuff could exist. It might. I don't think it does, but it could, and I'm not positive it doesn't.
But what if one of these demons was Freddy? Some people.
What if one of the
Freddy as a demon?
You're saying what if one of these demons was a child molester who got burned by a bunch of parents in a fictional film?
I'm just saying with the same ability, so a demon that comes into your dreams and kills you that way. That sounds pretty demon-like to me.
It seems to me that demons
or Jason.
sort of
You can't kill Jason.
Demons are the demons that I'm talking about are the kind who either want to possess a person and take over their body and do horrible things to it and to the people around them, and cause pain and suffering and fear, that feed on some spiritual being that feeds on human energies.
Okay.
That's the fear. And I think it's much more rational to fear those things. And I think you'll agree if you really boil it down, it's much more rational to be afraid of those two things than it is to be of some Frankenstein monster. That's complete fiction.
I just think you lose a lot of people in the argument when you group the demons in with the aliens.
I'm with you. I'm with Chiz on that. I like aliens. It's a numbers game to me, right? Like, let's say there's a 1 in a million chance.
I'm going to take it back.
There's a 1 in a million chance that a planet will be the right distance from a heat source like Earth and Sun that spawns life as we know it, right? And I don't know. We're carbon-based life. There's some silicon-based life. I'm not sure. It's outside my area. But to get a planet that has a proper climate, 1 in a million chance. I made that up. There are trillions of stars and planets out there, which means there should be tons and tons and tons of opportunities for an Earth-like thing to happen. And there's some sort of luck and some consistency that we haven't been hit by more giant asteroids that make you reset and start over. But just as a numbers game, it's like, all right, there's a 1 in a million chance with infinite chances. It should happen. That's my thought on the aliens thing.
They recently found an Earth-sized planet rotating a yellow sun at the correct distance. They call it, I don't remember the term for the distance that it is, but it's the correct distance around its star that it could support. Liquid water could pool. That's what it is.
Is it called the habitation zone or something like that?
Perhaps.
It's an M-class planet. We're all Star Wars people here.
Star Trek.
Thank you. I didn't mean to say Star Trek. So anyway, aliens going to happen. Demons, that feels completely like a story to get children to behave.
It really. I think when I say demon, I'm encompassing some sort of energy that is sentient. I think demon could be, what humans have been calling it when they experience it occasionally throughout time.
But talking about instances could be a chemical
mental injuries, totally mental illness, all those things, epilepsy. There's tons of things that could be contributed to it.
Kyle's talking about the Q. He's talking about Q. That's what he's talking about. Just a race of super beings that are neither here nor there and able.
Yeah, they're not matter. They're energy, an energetic life, and a life form that's energy. And I don't know that I just think that is a possibility, and I think it's a much lower possibility than even aliens. If I think the likelihood, I like to do this, the likelihood that there are aliens that are coming and like occasionally taking people and doing weird shit to them, it's less than 10%. It's probably less than 5%. It's probably 3% if I had to like lay a number on it.
That's a lot higher than I would think.
Really, 3% is pretty.
So let's say how many instances of people seeing something they can't explain and they think it's a UFO. What is that? Like what? 100 people?
Oh, I believe No, I don't believe that. I believe hardly any of those are legit.
So you think
because-
just undetected things that there's no proof or video of? You think that stealthily, you think there's a 3% chance people are being taken?
there's definitely a 3% chance that aliens have been here, like intelligent life. I think that is a possibility because the universe is so old. There's only been human life on this planet for a couple 100 million years, but the universe is 5.5 billion years old. Life could have been going for much, much longer than it's been going on this planet. There could have been. Earth has suffered some really tumultuous die-outs, like 4 or 5 mass extinctions. If those hadn't happened,
So you're saying not even 3% of just our time here, but just the life of the planet.
What I'm getting at with that is that there could have been a planet out there where they didn't get reset. Maybe they've got some sort of conditions where asteroids are less common, where there weren't volcanic conditions that killed out 90% of the life. They just, whatever the original life form was, didn't get cut off. Its evolution didn't stop. It just became the most intelligent being on the planet like us, and then it kept evolving for millions and hundreds of millions of more years. Imagine what humans would be like in 100 million years. It wasn't that long ago when we were. It was a few hundred years ago, and we were infants.
Mm-hmm.
Give us in 100 million years, we better be able to make it to another star like it's no sweat.
But you said there was a 5, 10, 3% chance that aliens
in the back of my head, I feel like the likelihood that I am in at least some infinitesimal amount of danger of being attacked by aliens. I put that at about 3% that I will be attacked by aliens. I put zombies at about 0.05%.
Really?
Zombies are possible.
Dude, zombies are more likely than
Right.
aliens.
Just all right, and let's throw out the zombie bullshit of undead people, but just the
Crazies.
Rabies is the interpretation for World War Z type thing. That
28
an
days.
infection type thing where people are not themselves anymore and are biting and killing people like animals. All right.
Yeah.
That seems a lot higher. Just a disease getting out there than aliens, I think.
I don't know. That's where I place it. I just don't think the zombie outbreak, world extinction, crazy shit could happen. I think there's just too many of guys like me with guns out there who would just put down the insurrection quickly, and that'd be that. There's just a lot of firepower in the United States. And
I
think
will
that-
say zombies will have a hard time in the U.S.
a hard fucking time. Woody's gonna pull that AC unit out, and he's gonna massacre every zombie that's within sight.
Like it's a hobby. People say, what are you worried about? Some survival situation? Why do you need guns? I have been prepping for zombies since the get-go. That's my jam right there. If we get... Dude, I can headshot people down my cul-de-sac all day.
Zombies.
Zombies.
Yeah, zombies, not people.
Are they on the list? All right, then zombies.
Don't judge. Yeah, dude, I just finished solving my big problem. Anyway, yeah. Zombies, man, I'm down for that. I'm down for
Okay,
that.
so 2 questions for you, Woody. A, do you believe that there are aliens?
Yes, but I don't think they've been here.
Okay. Do you believe there? I guess it's more than 2 now. Do you believe that there are intelligent life forms like on our level, maybe even or better, somewhere out there?
Yes. But on our level, I'm glad you threw that in there. What we're doing now, roaming with either chemical or combustion engines, is weak sauce compared to what we need to do to go light years away, right? I don't know how it happens. I don't know if this wormhole thing that you see in sci-fi is based on real science or some sort of universe folding technology that allows you, imagine you're traveling across paper and obviously this is a long distance, but if you can somehow I'm folding my checks. I should grab some other piece of paper. That's Netflix.com/Woody shit right here. But if we could somehow, I'm gonna put myself on the main screen. If we could somehow take this distance that we need to travel and fold it like that, and then all of a sudden we have a limited number, distance to cover, then that kind of tech is way beyond where we are right now. So yes, I definitely think there are people, and the reason we haven't seen them is because neither side has the kind of tech it takes to travel that kind of distance.
Yeah. So the technology that you're talking about, Woody, You're almost exactly right. But if you hold the piece of paper up one more time, I know exactly how this thing is supposed to work.
All right, I crinkled it a bit, but work with me.
So imagine that your spaceship is in the middle of that piece of paper, and the distance from the middle of that piece of paper to halfway to the edge of it is 1,000 light years.
Okay.
What you're trying to do is make where you are, your starship, so incredibly heavy that if you imagine space like a piece of paper, gravity becomes so heavy that it gets deformed and deformed until it folds in two. So now the dot in the middle is much closer to where it was before. It's a tiny different distance it has to travel.
Wouldn't
It's
you just
bringing,
put something? You'd want a spaceship here and in the middle, and then do that. Now you
Yeah.
can skip.
Yeah, you're bringing it to you. Yeah, you're folding. You're eliminating distance as a factor.
Well,
But that'll never work. That'll be that's way out of grasp.
yeah,
What's
I don't
much
know
more,
how you gather that much material like that, and it's. I guess once you
Multiple
get heavy enough,
suns.
you start gathering the material
you
on its
have
own.
no. You have to create artificial gravity. You have to create some sort of like fusion, nuclear generated artificial gravity well.
So
And you have-
essentially, magnets.
It's Event Horizon. That if you watch Event Horizon, it's a horror movie about what happens when you do that, and what they do is not only do they fold space, but they also drift into another alternate universe, and they bring something back with them, and it's sort of like a horror space movie. It's pretty good.
You could just use energy, right? Because energy equals mass times speed of light squared.
But I think what's much more likely is like some sort of cryostasis, like freezing people and sending them on 3-year journeys. That'll get us around our current, get us around the solar system, get us out to the moons of Jupiter, and find out if something's alive out there.
That's
Yeah, so find out something's
really
alive on Titan. Something silicon based, baby.
If I were the king of the world, the main focus right now, I swear to God, the main focus, like what we would be pumping trillions of dollars into, would be getting to Titan and finding out what's going on there. Titan is one of Jupiter's moons, and it's basically a big ball of ice. And there's heat in the core, which has created a liquid ocean beneath that icy crust. So there's warm liquid water on this planet, and it's a giant black ocean, and our oceans are black. When you go down to a certain depth, and life forms live there. They survive off volcanic vents and stuff, and horrible, harsh, incredibly terrible environments. High heat, low, freezing cold, all kinds of pressures. There's totally life there if you ask me, and we should go find it.
I've never been baptized, which apparently is a real rare thing. I'm sure Harley hasn't either. But for us Gentiles, it's I don't know anyone else who wasn't baptized. I need to ask my parents what the.
I'm
happened.
baptized. Man, they've dropped the ball.
Or maybe they made some sort of deal.
Didn't get baptized until I was like 19, but I still got baptized.
You still knocked it out. You're covered probably.
Yeah, but I went through that whole childhood of Southern Baptist hell and damnation and brimstone. Nope.
Don't you see demons?
That shit sucks.
Yes, sometimes.
You see real demons. So I'm not going to use you as a case study for baptism, and it's been.
I love the frown, the over the frown response you get because of the fucking giant flat lips.
How do the demons
Wait,
make
do you
feel?
see demons? You see demons?
It's a very long story, but the short version is much more prevalent in childhood than in adulthood. I suffered from hallucinations, not the schizophrenic kind where you really, well, I mean, as a kid, I thought they were like real, As an adult, I might see things like a shadow person walk by super quick or something like that. And I know it's not real, and I know it's my mind playing tricks on me, but as a child, they were much more intense. And I saw a whole bunch of crazy ghosts and demons and things that talked to me and all sorts of crazy shit. I think it was a combination of a very unpleasant medical condition I have and a very
You
toxic
spoke about
home
this on the show, right?
Yeah, I did. I told the story and stuff like that. So I, in the past, have seen things like demons and ghosts and supernatural events, and I also have very, very bizarre dreams where a very unpleasant thing often talks to me and kind of controls the scenario.
Is that still happening now, or pretty few and far between?
It was pretty much dead for a long time. I had a brief resurgence about 3 or 4 months ago. Very unpleasant dream. It was. Are we going to do that? Are we going to go into paranormal? If we're going to do that, I'll take the clown nose off. It's kind of itchy.
Yeah, you can take the clown
I think you
nose
take it
if you
off
want.
anyways.
Now look a little bit
that's
more
so
like
much worse.
Clown.
Now
Oh,
you
it's
look
so
like
worse now.
you look like a French Quebec like
Okay, I'll put it
daytime
back on.
Mime.
ballet. Anyone where I'm from knows what I'm talking about. By the way,
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
The Quebecois people.
But it's like, imagine you've played something like Left 4 Dead, where there's like an AI, the director that directs your game. Imagine when you go to sleep and you have a dream, it's lucid, so you're you and you're awake, and you might even know that you're dreaming, but you're not in control of it. And there is perhaps another malevolent director there putting you through some sort of godforsaken scenario. And if you break out of the scenario, you're probably going to a meeting room where you have to have a very unpleasant meeting of some kind.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't sleep that well.
I don't blame you.
I
That would
can't
suck.
fix it. If I get some of my problems fixed, it may go away on its own, which would be great. I am Tuesday going to see the only specialist in the state that will talk to me, and then I might have, embarrassingly, yet another final answer for this stupid
Peter
problem.
Venkman, right?
No, it's a
No.
infectious disease specialist. I may have a protozoan infection, which is not good. You don't want that. It's a
what does that
little.
mean?
It's like a little, kind of like a bacteria, but a little nastier, and they live in your red blood cells.
How do you get rid of those?
I'm not entirely sure, and it doesn't seem like it always goes away. So that's why
Unfortunately,
I'm
you have
going to
to-
a real doctor to get an answer.
And if that
Hope you get good news.
another option would be to dream train to grow stronger every day. So when you do encounter the shadow man in the dream,
Mm-hmm.
you are far more powerful than he ever expected you to be.
I got a trick.
We
for
sell a
that.
supplement for that.
You do.
Yes.
Makes you come.
We
more,
really
too.
do. Yeah,
I do have a trick
like
for
on
that, for
Derek's
real.
site, there's a dream supplement. Makes you
Really, I
strong
didn't know
in
that.
dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Really
trick
dream
I
dreams.
learned is that if your heart rate gets over a certain amount, you almost always wake up. Like your body just has like a fail-safe mechanism if that happens.
Mhm.
So if something's getting really fucked, I stop in the dream and concentrate and try to just hyperventilate, get my heart rate up super high, and just imagine it. And usually I'll just poof right out after.
Oh,
like
I
a
got the
minute or
answer
two.
for you.
Damn.
So
Okay.
do you have a smartwatch?
Been tracking
You
it.
can you can set that thing to wake you up if it gets above a certain point. Because I know my butt. Someone I know went to sleep after doing a bunch of cocaine and Adderall, and their Apple Watch woke them up because they thought they were dying, because they probably were. Their heart rate was like 170 in their sleep or some shit.
In their sleep.
So
Dude, that's
bizarrely
like
about this.
that's like panic attack level of blood
Yeah.
pressure.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
don't
you
do
guys
that.
about crazy dreams and shit like that, right? According to this, I dream only about 15 minutes a night, which is way less than what you need. And
Yeah.
a lot goes on in those 15 minutes, I'll tell you. Either that
Freddy
or it's
Krueger
just
shit.
not reading right.
Oh, there's
Uh,
full on time dilation in our dreams, which is interesting,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Absolutely.
how
Big
does
time. Big time.
that's a bizarre part about dreams that I would love to hear a doctor and a scientist talk about, like how that works. How does time dilation in dreams? Because
And a man
it
of God.
feels
Let's
like
cover
You
all the
wake up
bases.
sometimes exhausted. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know how that shit ended. It went
Yeah.
on. I was like
I've been able
camping
to-
for weeks.
I've left a dream scenario, like it had been a long dream, maybe running from bad guys through the woods or something, and then wake up and be like, all right, I'm awake, and then be, oh shit, I got to get back in there, and went back to sleep and got back in. I've done that before.
That's
how does that
awesome
fucking
when
work?
you do
too.
that.
How does that work?
I
don't
think
know
it
how
works
that
because you want to go back. Your mind is already in the
Or is it
mindset.
because that place is real? Because our minds have made it real.
But doesn't
and
it
exists
feel
for a little-
very real sometimes?
I think that our dreams might be more than just our brains putting on a show for us. Like maybe we're creating some kind of little pocket universe that we're going off and playing around in.
Maybe. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that kind of is what it is. It's
Don't get your
in
hopes up, though. You're
mind's
not going
eye.
God,
anywhere
it's
when
the
you die.
simulation, and you come
No.
out, and you're like, "It's my dream
This has nothing
world."
to do with that. Still,
I,
just
I like a huge amount of the time when I have a bad dream, like I don't remember anything about it other than like I'll wake up like more anxious than normal and just be like, I must have had some kind of weird
I've
dream.
had that.
Like, but I can't nail down like what was it about? It must have been kind of upsetting, but I have no
Bad, like a night
clue.
terror, like where you jump up yelling and stuff.
No, I've never had that. Like Like I don't
keep saying
really,
things, and I'm only
I don't
picturing
wake
you in the
up.
clown makeup doing it. Like
I don't wake up
sleeping
out of
and jumping
nightmare.
up, screaming, full clown costume.
You do
Just
know
him
how I look
waking
like
up in
normally,
terror.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Not clownish. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a nightmare. Or no, I when I was a kid, I woke myself up with nightmares occasionally. I woke up during a very brief nightmare where I was like, my mom was calling me to like run through the garage to get to her car so she could drive us to school. And I was closing the garage on my way out, and I tripped, and the garage door crushed my head, and I died. And I remember waking up from that like, oh my God, I never thought of that as a way to die. is having your head crushed at the age of 7, and then thinking like, oh my God, and my mom and my brother would still be out in the car looking at like my head all over the drive. Oh, that was a terrible dream for a 7-year-old.
My dream
Yeah,
when I
that's a
was
good
7
one.
is I would be at school and I'd be like, I'm here naked? Why did I come all the way here naked? What a fuck up.
What a fuck up.
Literally,
Damn.
that'd be my dream. I'd be like, I forgot everything, even my clothes. This is crazy. Why would this happen? And it's just my dream is me standing there stressing, being like, how am I going to spin this?
I remember like
7.
probably 4 years ago, which, maybe not even that long, 2 or 3 years ago, I had like the first nightmare in many years where I hadn't done my homework. And like, I had like not, or no, what it was I realized I was enrolled in a class that I had never gone to, and it was near the end of the semester. And like, I wake up from it or whatever, and it's like I'm like actually like worried about something, and then I have to remind like you're 32, you're not in school, like that it's fine.
So here's the school nightmare that I have. I haven't had it in a while, but maybe 3 to 5 years or something. But I used to have it all the time, and way into adulthood. I have been enrolled in the wrong classes, or I have taken more units than I thought I had. And I've never attended these classes, though. It's become news to me today that, yes, you do have a 3rd and 4th period class. This is not a half day. You've been working a half day for the year, and you were supposed to be learning calculus and biology. And so now, today, there is a Scantron fucking test for both of those classes. And you have to cram right now for the test today. And all of a sudden they start handing out Scantron sheets while I'm looking in this book that's this thick, and it's just so scary.
Just
because
panicking.
I do everything. I'm trying to talk to the teacher. I'm trying to like cheat, and nothing works.
Yeah, the reason I think that scares me is because literally, I think it was my junior year of college. I was in like Finance 3000 or some upper level finance course, and for the second test, there were only 3 tests. So test 2 is halfway through the fucking semester. And I sit down next to this guy, and through some conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad the tests are fucking easy as shit. And because the tests were a joke. Like I got like a
That's
high
good.
A. And like on the first one, I come from the second one, and I'm like, man, this class is so great. Easy as can be. I never come to it. And the guy I was talking to was like, yeah, but like attendance is like 15% of your grade. And I was like,
oh
no, that can't be true. I couldn't have
professor?
made that kind of oversight. And so then I just like, I had it in my head. I was like, okay, you cannot get back 8% of this entire grade. Like you just have to go to every class from here on out. And like ended up still doing fine because it was easy as shit. But I remember like that was such a big fuck up, because I had never blown off a class where they took attendance. That always seemed like so over the line to me. That's just willing laziness and indignance and ignorance. Like, and that's what I did. I was kicking myself for that. It's like, you fucking retard, you moron. You missed
Taylor.
every single day other than test 1 and test 2.
It didn't matter then, and it doesn't matter now. You didn't even need the degree.
It didn't matter.
Nope.
You're right. It didn't matter at all.
Any of you use your degrees?
No,
none of it matters.
I use it every week on this show.
Yeah, you
Not
can
really.
you can get those printed off the internet, and no one checks if they're real.
No.
I saw
And
a
once
Reddit
you
post
have
the
your
other day
first
from a
job out
guy.
of college, no one cares about your college
about-
transcript ever again. They care
I
about
saw
your
a-
first job.
I saw a Reddit post, and the guy was like, "I've been living a lie for X amount of years." He's working as some kind of professional with a fake degree. He's not a doctor or anything. That's different. But he's working a professional job where they think he went to some school somewhere, and there's a diploma on his wall and everything. But that ain't real.
Dude,
He's like,
boomers
"Ah,
couldn't fake shit
I
so
once
easy.
saw a professor who worked for like 10 years as a professor of ethics with a fake degree.
You can get them printed right off.
That's hilarious.
Go right now. There are multiple companies who make very good fake degrees, and they'll go so far as to have your, references and everything. Like they'll. Who was it that? When was it that you were like, Lord Satan, I invite you into my willing vessel of a soul. Invade me with your dark hatred.
I was with this was the first vacation I ever went on with my wife, and she like believes in demons and all that stuff. And like we'd been dating for maybe a year. We went to Florida, and we were sitting watching a scary movie because I'm big into scary movies. She isn't as much, and we're watching the movie, and she's like, I have to go to the bathroom. Pause it. And I'm like, okay. She's like, also get up and turn on all the lights so I can go to the bathroom. And I'm like, we can see the bathroom from here. We can see the light shining out of the hallway where the bathroom is. And she's like, but it's so scary. I don't want to, like, and because it was like a demonic kind of scary movie. And I was telling her, I'm like, what spooks me out are like those creepy, ghoulish people that might come and kill you in your sleep. But what spooks her are those demons. And so like she got up to go to the bathroom, and to like freak her out, I was like, babe, this shit isn't real. I'd been telling her that, like, this isn't real. Like, it's okay. Like, settle down. But she got up to go to the bathroom, and I was like, see, none of this is real. Watch. Satan, enter my soul. Use me as your vessel. Lord of darkness, I will do your bidding for whoever you choose it. And I like did that for like probably 30 seconds. And she was like she was like, stop it. I'm serious. Stop. Don't invite Satan into your heart right next to me. And I'm like, I'm joking. And if I'm not, he's so tricky, you're not going to know. Like, if he totally consumed my spirit, I guarantee he's more articulate than me. He's going to convince you that nothing happened. Like, but
this is exactly what he'd say.
It's a very, this is just what
now
Satan
let's
would
go.
say.
He'll make love to you far better than I ever could.
That was like, she hated that. Allow me to do your bidding.
I saw the movie Hereditary, and it was like demon based. And after that, I like caused quite the ruckus with a few people, because you'd be surprised how many people hate what you did.
Yeah,
Taylor.
Oh yeah,
because I did something a bit milder, because it wasn't like just me and my wife who was like fucking terrified. But I would put on YouTube the incantation to summon King Paimon.
Oh,
so I would like put it on, and it's like a scary mantra that's like repeating.
Yeah,
and I would like put it on, and it does sound bad. And I have like full grown men friends that are like, turn it off, turn it off. They're like at the front door. They're like, I'll leave, and I'll never come back again.
Can you fill me in on what King
Paimon? You don't know about her.
So it was like the 13 Kings of Hell or something.
It's a real demon. Yeah, I mean a real demon.
So yeah, I mean, he's in a demonology book. So like it's the bad guy from Hereditary. He was the demon, like influencing everything. The whole cult was worshiping him, and they're summoning him and putting him into a vessel. Spoiler. That's the whole point of the movie.
I thought it was just a Hereditary thing. I didn't know that.
No, it'll fuck your wife up if demons scare.
Wait, you've never seen Hereditary?
No. I mean, I thought King Paimon was a Hereditary thing. I just looked up.
Oh,
and
no,
it's like
real.
Got a big long history.
Yeah. I went down that hole once on King Paimon. You summon him if you want desires that are monetarily, like a money thing. He can help you there, because there's different kings of hell that you would ask the help for different things.
Demon.
King Paimon is like the sounds like my god. You know what I mean?
Helps you out.
My people be praying to him, and then he has he also summon him if you want your enemies to fail, which I always thought was such a funny, petty, like desire to not have success. You get him if you want your enemies to fail. He's
Isn't
like
that
the
like
petty demon.
just wanting to win?
No.
Involve you.
No.
Not even involved.
It's not. It's it's a quote from a movie. It's like I want for no one else. Oh, it's from There Will Be Blood. He's
There'll
like,
be blood,
I want for no one else to succeed. It's not enough to win.
It's really petty.
No one else to succeed.
I should win.
I got the symbol tattooed on me, and I crypto crashed and I lost a lot of money, so it doesn't work.
Shit.
I'm looking up what the chant is. I'm not going to do it just in case.
Wait, what is that?
This
you
is
haven't
the real
lost it
demon.
until you sell it.
What is that tattoo?
It's the symbol from the it's the payment symbol.
Yeah,
it's
he's
a
got
real
the
thing.
Paimon.
Yeah,
the one with the curly things there.
And you put crypto.
Crypto crashed and it doesn't work.
He was hoping that Paimon would help him out.
Something. This is a demon king. So when he made Bitcoin worth 70K, that was on you to cash out.
I guess it was.
Like, it's
Lord
a
Byron,
demon.
why
It's
have
not
you
going to
left
keep
me?
going up. You got to know when to cut your wins and walk away from it.
Lord
And I
Byron's
say
like,
that as
I
someone
gave
who
you
also
such
has
wealth and
Bitcoin
you
and
never
did not sell
sold.
any.
Dude, that is if Christianity is real, you're going to hell so quick.
Yeah.
You're not, dude. You're
Yeah.
not gonna fool Saint Peter at the front gate when he's like, "What's that? A band?" No, he's gonna know. He's gonna know.
Well, it's like if Christianity is real, you can be forgiven for anything. So be like, hey man, hit me with that eraser.
You can be, but you're gonna have to burn that off with some boiling holy water or
there's
something.
no
You're gonna
way.
get there, and Saint Peter is gonna be like, I know Lord Paimon, the king of hell. You've got his name written on you, bro. It's like showing up at Harley's house with a fucking swastika on your forehead.
Yeah,
I'll just
He's
be like,
not gonna let you in.
I'll just be like, I was the first God commentator ever. Like, give me a pass. You know?
Well, if Taylor showed up with a swastika on his head, I'd be like, "You're crazy, man. Come on in." Crazy for that though.
Peter's like, look at this guy. The ball's on him.
It's like,
Come
no,
on
this
in."
is inappropriate. Let me get my white hood, cover this up.
If Taylor showed up at my house with a swastika on his head, I'd be like, "You're crazy, man. Come on in." And even though I know Kyle better, if Kyle showed up with a swastika on his head, I'd be like, "I'm scared."
Oh no, it's yeah.
You'd be like, okay, well, Taylor's clearly being like weird and ironic.
He's being a goofball.
Kyle has made a decision.
Yeah, he made
Look
a
at Kyle's physical presence. He is the superior race. Like, it's not a race, it's just him.
I would say that if you showed up at heaven with that tattoo and they were like, "Well, this guy, get him out of here," they'd cast you to hell and you'd pull up, and like King Paimon would be like, "Fucking love a Paimon stan. Hell yeah. Grab
No
a seat
way.
up here up
No.
front."
Yeah.
It would be like if you went to prison with like some gangster tattoos and they were like, "Yeah, you're a Crip? Where?" And you'd be like, on the east side. And be like, "East side of where?" And like, Chicago. You know Big Mo? Yeah, I know Big Mo. The guy would walk away and put in a phone call to Big Mo, and they'd kill you the next day when Big Mo didn't know you. That's what would fucking happen.
And they kill you over and over because it's hell.
But Lord Paimon is just going to kill you every day for all of eternity for repping his name.
Do we know that though? Is that what he's gonna do? He's gonna like hurt.
He's going to
maybe
be like, "Did
he'll
you
be
ever
like,
pray to me in the black tongue?" You're going to be like, "Well, no, not specifically."
I just like the movie, man.
Did you ever spill virgin blood to me? No,
I just like the movie.
I just like the movie. Like,
Oh,
it's a cool
that doesn't
design.
cut it in hell.
it is.
that doesn't cut it in hell.
No,
But
I
Toni
think
Collette, though, she's so
they'd
good.
be
man.
accepting
We don't
of you.
have
They'd
cable
love it.
here.
They'd be like, "Come on in. Your mom and dad are here already. Your grandparents are here.
I
The
imagine
whole
they have
family's in
TV
hell because of your tattoo."
I imagine they have TV in hell, but it's the old antenna from when we were kids that you've got to like flip through the channels and it's all fuzzy. You got 4,
If they have
7,
if they
and
have like
13.
TV in hell, what's playing?
Andy Griffith Show.
You think that's the worst show imaginable?
I think if you had to watch it for all eternity, the sweet, like,
How about this, Kyle? Here's your hell. You have to rewatch the last 40 minutes of the last episode of Game of Thrones. That's the only content you can ever see.
Oh god.
oh, that's pretty rough.
No, the last half hour. Not even anything good.
Anything over and over is awful though. Like if you had to watch your favorite thing over and over, you would be done with it in a day. You know,
That's probably what hell would actually be if they were being creative. It'd be like, oh, what's Taylor's favorite movie? Oh, The Lord of the Rings. Well, then enjoy The Lord of the Rings for eternity. And then they would just
so
do that.
in the TV show, it's a graphic novel, The Preacher. They go to hell and Hitler's there, and everyone has their personal hells in hell, and you're like in a cell that looks like a regular prison, but in that cell you then experience your hell. And there's break time in between your hell. You know, there's snack time and stuff. You get out for rec, that sort of thing. Congregate. You go to the bathroom sometimes. You're in hell, but you eat. There's meals. But most of the time, Hitler is just experiencing the time. I think it's when his art got shot down or something. I can't remember exactly what his hell was, but it's just some little moment from his life. This little 5-minute conversation he had where someone was like, "No, that's not going to cut it." That like crushed his heart, and he has to live it over and over.
You suck, and that dog painting isn't even good.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, It's been a while. The first season or two of Preacher is really fucking good.
There's a Twilight Zone episode, the old show Twilight Zone, where it's this German U-boat commander, and he's on this boat, but like he doesn't know why he's on the boat. Like he can't remember how he got there or whatever. And then at the end of the episode, the boat he's on gets shot or gets like shot down, attacked, and then it sinks and he dies. And before he goes down, he like looks through a telescope to see who's shooting him down in the other boat, and it's him. Like it's him. He has to relive that. Like he keeps having this deja vu. It's really fucking cool. Yeah.
Twilight Zone is still, it holds up so well.
Oh yeah.
So many episodes do. It's so interesting.
I always cry when I watch that one episode where the guy dies. Him and his dog die, I guess. I think they drown while they're hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And then but he wakes up and he's in purgatory, between life and death. And the devil is like tempting him. He's like, come on, heaven this way, come on in. And the guy's like, oh, it's terrible that I died, but sure, let's go to heaven. And he's like, but no dogs. And he's like, and the dog's barking and growling at this guy. And he's like, Rufus can't come? Nah, no dogs in heaven, sorry. Rufus can't come? I don't want to go. And he keeps walking. And then like down the path, he finds the real angel. And he's like, well, of course dogs are allowed in heaven. That was the devil back there. Rufus would never lead you astray because he's a good boy. And I'm sitting
pretty fucked up. We let him hang out near the door, right?
I was gonna get mad at them. I'd be like, bro, can you go faster, please?
Couldn't you?
He almost got me.
So
my mom might not come here with a dog and have
what if the dog could swim? He would have been in hell. Such horseshit.
I mean, I would have been fooled by that. Satan tells me, well, no, dogs aren't allowed in heaven.
Sorry,
it's a
Fozzie.
relationship between you and Jesus. I'd be like, damn, that sucks, but that does check out. Like, all right, I guess I'll follow you into the lake of sulfur unintentionally.
There's one where it's like a burglar is robbing this place, and the fucking alarm goes off and he gets gunned down by the cops. And like he wakes up after getting gunned down, he's like dead, it's like his soul wakes up. And he's like a little guardian angel comes and he's just like, hey, I'm here to, like guide you through. And he's just like, okay, well, I didn't expect to go to heaven, but all right. And he's basically just giving him everything he wants all episode. And like at first it's really cool, but eventually it's just like there's no challenge. Like he's going to the fucking Vegas slots and he wins every time. And he's just like, at the end, he's just like, this place fucking sucks. I want to go to hell. And he's just like, nah, I think you fucked up. Like this is hell. Like this is hell.
Yeah, you're
already here. Yeah,
you always win. There's nothing.
There's no challenge.
No risk.
We were just talking before the show about I was saying, look, if my house is haunted, I'm gonna be out there with a thing of gasoline, 100 pounds of tannerite. I'm gonna leave it a pile of rubble and be like, well, haunt this now, you fucking ghost. And Taylor was like, oh, so you believe in ghosts? And I was like, no. I think that 99.9999% of the time, no fucking ghost. There might have been one ghost or two ghosts ever, but I'm not willing to shut the door completely on that. And they, of course, all laughed at me. And then Boogie, you spoke up.
What did you say, Boogie? Can you repeat it for the
I said,
show?
if you want, I will tell you the story about the time I met my mother's ghost.
Making me look
we'll
much
start out
less
with that.
insane.
We want to start it off
Yes.
upbeat, get people in a good mood.
Okay.
We started with Kyle being a crazy person that believed in ghosts, and now by comparison,
Not even believe in them. I believe in the possibility that maybe I'm not willing to close the door and say no. There are no ghosts. There never were. There never will be. No ghosts ever, ever, ever. It's bullshit. 100%. I can't say that.
Yeah, but you could say like, yeah, but there's like no evidence for ghosts. So
There
until
isn't
there's
any.
evidence, let's
Well, there's
just
a lot-
assume it's not real.
Well, look, it's one of those things that's sort of ingrained in the mythos of so many cultures. Everybody,
Yeah,
there
it's
are
an
legends about it,
incarnation
stories
of the
about
fear
it.
of death.
Of course. That's what I believe is most likely. But there's that little grain of sand that might be that there were some Aztecian ghosts or something that haunted. some people.
Aztecian.
Yeah, they were always into that human sacrifice and eat hearts and stuff. Maybe that,
Do you know
There's
the
there's
Aztecs
that whole
killed-
Day of the Dead thing, that they do down there still.
Yep.
I
get all
can't.
the gods mixed up.
I can't wait to get to the story about Boogie's mom, but I
Yeah.
feel like we can't disprove any of that Pastafarian stuff either, right? That God, in his tentacle madness, has placed all these archaeological, fact-based carbon dating stuff throughout the planet in an effort to throw us off. They draw a link between pirates,
Scooby-Doo villain,
Dude, I
and
hate
global warming.
the Pastafarian thing.
I
Because
love it.
It's just a way for people to kind of be douchey and arrogant about them being smarter than you, when really it's like if you were trying to convince someone who is religious to drop it and like show them by evidence, the best way to do it isn't to mockingly compare what they believe in to pasta in the sky. It's like that's just showing that you're trying to be a cunt a little bit, just a little bit.
That's my favorite part.
And what you should
Yeah,
be doing
of course.
if you actually want to change people's mind is be a little more compassionate and understand where they're coming from.
No,
You know, you don't-
my favorite part about the Pastafarian thing is that I enjoy all my like-minded cunts. Right? Like,
is that what they call themselves?
They call themselves Pastafarians, I think. Right?
So you call them cunts.
There's something to do with.
You self-identify as a cunt.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't call them cunts. I call us cunts. There's a slight difference.
I always know that I'm on PKA when we've always used the word cunt 40 times before the first 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, Mom.
That's just to ease people into this whole new upsetting layer of your life we're about to delve into. Because it seems like every time we have you on, it's like, fucking Boogie's on here. Let's jolly and cheer and we'll have some fun. And you're like, oh, that reminds me of the time I lost 6 dogs in a weekend. Like, oh, goddamn.
But that's what I'm good at, man. Like that's they say you talk about what you know, you write about what you know, you create what you know, and this is what I know, so this is what I talk about. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. The last 6 years of my life has been fucking amazing. But, you know, I had 35 years before that, and those 35 years make up the bulk of my life. And so most of my stories come from that. I can tell you about the time that my wife blew me in a beautiful hotel in New York City, you know, and that story exists too, but it's not nearly as interesting.
We'll have to get to that one. No, you've captured my interest, Boogie.
I told that one last week.
You know,
but
I want to hear about the ghost.
Let's get to the ghost.
So my mom passed in 2009. And, you know, I went to be by her side as she passed, and I held her hand even as she passed, you know. And I'll tell you one of the things, there's a whole story about that too. And maybe you'll save that for the next PKA. But I'll tell you, you know, I was holding her hand, and they took off the machines, and they gave her some morphine to make sure she passed comfortably, you know. And like she was already in an induced coma. And it's so funny because I could kind of tell that she was not there anymore. Like she was alive one second and not the next. But it was such like a minor thing. Like it, you know, I expected like bells and whistles and for her soul to float up to the sky because that's what you think is going to happen. But no, her body is technically alive, objectively alive, and then it's objectively dead. The heart has stopped beating, the brain has stopped functioning, and now she's gone. And I sat there with her about 20 or 30 minutes after they said she was dead and just waited for something to happen. Nothing ever did. It was not magical. It wasn't spiritual. It wasn't anything. It was just, you know, meat. It was meat. You know, my mother was in there for 1 second, and then the next second it was just a pile of meat. And there's very, very little difference. So as depressing as that is. But 6 months later, so I'm sitting at home. This is about 3 months later. And it's my first Christmas alone without my mother in my life. And me and her had always been very close. Even though it was a shitty relationship, it was a close relationship. And I would go home and visit her every year for Christmas. I didn't have anywhere to go. And I'm sitting there playing World of Warcraft. And I feel this hand on my right shoulder. And I immediately recognized the feeling. It's exactly the way my mom's hand felt as I was holding her hand as she died. It's exactly the way that it felt. And so I immediately turned my head and nothing was there. And I stood up and I looked around, and my mother was a chain smoker and I could smell smoke in the apartment. Nobody in my apartment smokes. And I said, Mom, hello? Nothing. I look around, I look through the 2 doors. I kind of walk into the living room, nothing. So I turned back around, I sat down on my stool, and I start typing into guild chat what just happened. And then I feel the hand a second time on my right shoulder, and my brain says, don't turn around. Like, obviously you can't see her, obviously you can't interact with her. She's really there. Say whatever you got to say. And so I said, Mom, I love you. And then I didn't feel the hand anymore, and then she was gone. Now, I have since spoken with the therapist about this, and the therapist says, honestly, I don't know, and whatever you want to believe is what you should believe. But I personally think, and I think the therapist also leaned towards, I was in a very grief-driven state. I definitely did not get as much closure as I needed. I probably never will. And my mind had maybe generated that experience or something to that effect to where it was believable. I mean, you know, you think about it, your body makes you feel weird shit all the time, right? You shiver, you you jerk, you're falling asleep, you feel like you're falling. Your body generates all kinds of weird shit all the time. My brain was in a position to attribute the weird shit that I was currently feeling to that situation. So I don't know that.
At like when you felt that hand, or was it more of like you immediately felt like,
I immediately recognized it as my mother, and I immediately was comforted by it. It was not scary or freaky at all.
That's what I don't understand about these ghost stories. Is like I love the people in my life that I love, but as soon as they're dead, it's like I want nothing to do with you because I don't think that's the good version of you coming back. The good one is somewhere else. I feel like it's just
Get out of here,
something-
Mom! I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
I'm the opposite. I
That
would love.
Floats away.
All
sad.
Okay, it is within
feel like
my
it would be a
nature to
demon
just
impersonating them.
to just shit all over Boogie's experience, but I don't want that. I would love to have it. I would, and I don't want to tarnish it or whatever. Awesome, Boogie. I'm glad that happened for you.
I don't truly believe it was my mother, so you don't have to worry. Be skeptical. I don't truly believe that's what it was. I still believe I generated it in my brain. But
yeah, my parents are still alive, but I would, if they were hypothetically dead and I could have even what you had again,
yeah,
I bet I would really value that. And
it was nice. And whether it be my mother actually reaching out of the grave to say, hey, look, I fucked up a lot, sorry. Or if it was just her trying to help me get through Christmas, or if it was my own brain just tricking me to try to help me get through that period, that time of grief, whatever it was was very comforting, and I very much appreciated it.
If
It was
my
very nice.
grandmother, if Ninny, came back and was like grabbing my shoulder and stuff, like I couldn't deal with that. Like, get out of here! You go back to where they sent you, wherever that is.
Demon?
Yeah, demon. Get out of here, Ninny. Can't be creeping up on me.
That's my thought process.
You had your time.
I would think it was scary more than comforting because I would immediately jump to like this. They would know not to come back and fuck with me because they would know I wouldn't like this. Like there's something sneaky going on.
I visited my grandmother as she was dying, and I was hearing Boogie's story. My grandmother's wasn't anything like that. She was in the ICU, and you weren't allowed to come visit people in this section. Whatever level of care she was at needed to be infection free, and you couldn't just go see people. And I went to visit her, and I'm like, yeah, how do I get to the ICU? And they're like, no, you can't go back there. And I'm like, oh, I'm here to see. And I gave her name, and they're like, oh, well, yes, you can go see her. And I'm like, dude, you get special privileges when they're dying. They give you the hookup. They let you go anywhere and watch them die.
At this point, you could shit all over her. She's not getting sick.
This is grief shit. You can deal with it.
So
I don't bother washing your hands.
In spite of the fact that you're not supposed to go to this part, with her, you were allowed to go to this part. I said it was my grandmother, and I went to see her, and then suddenly, and I liked her. She had a pool. That's where I first learned to swim, and she used to always make snacks and stuff for us, and she was, I know my father had a part of conflict, but I still don't know what that was about. All I know is that she always seemed to open her house to us and seemed to enjoy having us around. That was the vibe that I got from her. So that was my impression of her, and I went there, and there she was dying, and I'm kind of like, now what do I do? I don't know what to do. She's just laying there. I talked to her. I think I told her I loved her, and she didn't do anything back. She didn't tell me she loved me or anything. She just sat there dying, or laid there. And
she was incoherent then.
Oh yeah. She was completely unconscious. I don't know.
Yeah, she wasn't spitefully ignoring
see,
you.
that's better. See, my grandmother was laying there dying.
I'm not wasting my last words on you. Yeah.
Oh no,
my grandmother was laying there dying, and she's all yellow and jaundiced from her liver shutting down, and she's not there all the time. But I go in there, and she's like, "Oh, Kyle, I love you. You're my number one grandson," and just gasping for air, and just we're both crying. It was rough, but she was there and just dying.
They told
something
me
from a movie.
Hey, if you want to see her while she's still alive, today's the day to go see her. And I went, and I feel like I didn't spend enough time there. It was maybe 15-20 minutes, but there was also nothing to do.
She's not conscious.
I held her hand. She was still warm. I checked, there were almost no signs of life. And like you said, she was unconscious. And I'm just I feel like I should say a thing. And I just,
And when I left, there wasn't really the closure. Like I wanted this kind of like goodbye wrap up.
Was it just you two in there at the time?
Yeah. And I felt like I was supposed to do or say something more than I did. It was just like, there she is, she's dying. It's going to be sometime between now and like 3 days from now. And like, what do you do exactly?
Did she know you? Like, did she have the wherewithal to even know you were there?
Absolutely not. No. She just was.
So then, question: are you happy you went, or is it something you wish you could go back and have a different memory as the last one of her?
The first. I'm happy I went. I feel like if I hadn't gone, it would have been out of some like selfish laziness, not prioritizing her, something like that. I have all those. People can feel differently in terms of last memory, but for me, I still have all those other memories. Like they didn't go anywhere. I just have one more where I came to see her in the hospital at the end. That's what it is for me. So, hey, welcome to Painkiller.
I will say that I feel like, because I saw my father off. I saw him a few weeks actually before he passed, and then I saw my mom. I was with her the day she passed. I think it's very important. If anybody out there is ever considering, it's sad to talk about this kind of stuff, but I think it's good to give advice in this situation. If you ever have that opportunity to get that closure with somebody you care about, it's very important. And even if you can't do anything for them, and it doesn't feel like it would do anything for you, in the end, it does a lot for you to know that you did the right thing, you did your best. And it'll really help you put it together. And I'll tell you that I had my best friend of 30 some years. She, a girl that I dated in high school. We knew each other since we were 3 years old. She passed a year ago and 3 days, almost to the date, a year and 3 days ago. And I asked her, I said, I saw her about a year before she passed. And, I was like, do you want me to come and visit? And she's like, well, I'm not really myself with my brain. She had cancer in her brain. She's like, I'm not really myself, and I don't really want you to see me this way. And selfishly, I didn't really want to see her that way. I wanted to keep the other memories. And now that time has passed and she's been gone a while, I really wish I had seen her one last time. So if you ever have that opportunity, you really should do that. It's the right thing to do. And it's not just the right thing to do for them. It's the right thing to do for you.
I don't know. I don't think I would have wanted to see my grandmother if she was in a really diminished capacity where she didn't know who I was.
Right. Well, how young were you too? That's a big thing, I bet.
Just a couple years ago, like maybe 3 years ago, three years ago.
Yeah, but if you're under like 17, I give you a pass for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that can, especially if it's really bad,
I think that if I were like really like demented, like suffering from dementia, really out of it, and only had like little glimpses of, I don't know, clarity,
lucidity.
Like, if I said, lucidity. Like if I said to someone like, I don't want you to come see me anymore. Like I don't want you to see me like that. And they came back when I was having a moment of lucidity, I think I'd probably be a little bit upset because I would feel like I was being cheated almost out of my legacy of like, you remember Uncle Taylor? Like, he was so funny and fun to be around, instead of like, oh God, just see him laying there, like
all those
what was that?
rancid
Like
soup.
I just feel like that would be the worst thing in the world, to have like a moment of lucidity where you tell everyone, please don't come visit me anymore. I don't want you to see me like this. And then you have another one as they're all watching you die, and you're like, oh, you fuckers. Like, now this is going to be on the fucking fridge, a picture of me frail and dying, instead of the one where I was playing badminton with a beer or something.
No, but then then you show them the YouTube videos. I'll show you the YouTube videos of you like pissing in yourself and like I was gonna. That's your legacy. That's your fucking legacy.
Chatting with grandma.
Like in favorite.
Different than all of you. I have extremely wild, vivid, and mostly lucid dreams. But there's also usually another me in my dreams that's aware of the world outside me. So it usually sets up traps and various things for me for when I wake up, and it's very hard to deal with.
So I sometimes have lucid dreams. I don't understand what you're talking about with the second you.
Okay.
But so I'm very interested.
So if you can look this up, you can look up, I'll type it in the chat, Jungian Shadow. Probably my more evil myself, like think Nega Scott. But a good example is I had a dream with my wife when she was then my girlfriend. We just took a nap in her dorm. And I woke up in her dorm and things were normal, but she was some sort of evil witch and she tried to choke me and stab me. So I punched her in the face. And then she put a bag over my head and suffocated me. And then pow, I wake up again, a different place. And every time I wake up, there's a different person, usually my girlfriend, telling me, I'm going to keep you asleep forever. You're never going to wake up, and you're always going to be stuck here with me forever and ever and ever and ever. You know, all sorts of spooky stuff, head spinning around, eyes turning black.
What's wrong with
and
you,
just
man?
over and over and over. But so here's the trick. The thing that's doing that in my dreams is aware of the situation around me. So I'm dreaming the real world. And 8 times in a row, I wake up in a nightmare scenario of the room that I went to bed in. So finally, it's like, have fun. And then, pow, I jump out of bed like a lightning bolt, scare the shit out of my girlfriend. And the first thing she says is, hey, it was just a dream. Just come back to bed. You know, she's like putting her hands on me, like, come on, let's come back down. And of course, I think it's going to be another one of those loops where some sort of horrible monster tries to put me down.
Awesome.
Or there was an instance in my dorm room, I used to have like a big full body mirror or whatever. It would kind of face the bed. And it was the same kind of thing of mirrors over and over again. And the evil version of me saying, I'll be waiting for you when you wake up. I'm real now, by the way. Have fun. Pow, wake up, jump out of bed face to face with the mirror. And the idea is that it's trying to trick me into acting out in the real world. But thankfully, I'm smarter than whatever that is.
That sounds horrible, man.
So I'm gonna recommend that you go talk to a professional about all that stuff you just shared with us just now.
Like a dream doctor who can shut that
No,
down.
no,
for you.
like a real doctor with like a degree and stuff.
I've been putting
I've done that.
an absolute quack.
That's kind of scary as fuck. Wait, are
I
you
have an
telling me that you
entire
have
series on my channel about it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little high, but are you describing some sort of a dream demon that you communicate with?
I used to think it was a demon.
Now you know.
I mean, imagine this. Imagine you wake up in an office room, right? And you're strapped down to a chair and you can't move. And then an evil version of yourself looking identical comes and sits down and slaps a giant book on the table and says, you're stuck with me for the next 12 hours. I'm going to read you a list of all of your sins. Oh, and by the way, you can't breathe the whole time you're here. Pow. 12 hours of suffocating while you hear about every single bad thing you've done in your life, like stuff like that. Now, I did go to therapy for all this, and it's all done with. All I had to do was kill that thing and consume it, and I haven't seen it in a very long time. So,
how did you do that? Did it work on the first try?
It was at the end of I had a extraordinary dream spanning a couple of years, probably. I turned it into a series for my channel, and resolved personal conflicts. And then about a week later, I went and I woke up in the conference room again with evil me. And the implication was that it was time to finish this. So all I did is kill my doppelganger, so to speak, tear it to bits, eat all the flesh, and become one. And then you're normal again.
You know, that's literally like you're describing like a Freddy Krueger movie.
It's like a Twilight Zone thing. So how did you get him to pieces? Did you tear him to pieces? Did you have tools?
With his hands.
And as you're doing it, you know you're dreaming. Are you
correct? And
you're not tasting anything.
Oh, I tasted a plenty.
Oh, that's gross. What part of you was what part of you was the grossest?
What part of you was the tastiest?
It all tasted mostly like blood, like uncooked meat.
You didn't cook yourself?
No.
No.
It's all nasty stuff. But
save your dream self some worry.
Yeah, so those are my dreams all the time. It's basically, imagine you would go to sleep and wake up in a world that's created by your alternate self. Now, in that, you're free to move and do kind of whatever you want, but you don't control it. So you wake up in various sort of nightmare scenarios over and over and over again. But if you try to wake up and break free, the other you will try to put you back to sleep through more effort. Now, I did learn a trick where I could always wake up. If I can get my heart rate up high enough, it'll wake you up automatically as like a safety system in your body. So when I know that I'm dreaming and I know that I'm stuck in a dream and it wants to keep me there, all I have to do is focus for a minute and raise my heart rate high enough to where I start like sweating and it'll just like pop me right out of bed.
This sounds like a horrible way to have to sleep. I'm glad
I haven't had so much problems in the last couple of years. So
that's good.
Well,
did the lady, like when you went, or I'm assuming it's a lady doctor, maybe you said she, but like when you went there to her, I'm picturing like you walked through like a bead curtain to sit down in her or something like that. And when you explained your situation, she's like, oh, this is something we experience all the time here.
Did she have one like milky eye?
No. She was very young.
The milky eye. We all pictured the milky eye, right?
So I did this in college. She was a very young, like less than 30, relatively petite new psychiatrist working students for free. and she had no idea what to make of me, looking at stuff like dissociative identity and schizophrenia or whatever. And after about 3 sessions of explaining this, she arrived at the conclusion that I typed in the chat over there, which is Jungian shadow, based on Carl Gustav Jung's various philosophies about the anima and animus, which kind of competes with Freud's id and ego as a system.
Well, it worked, so something went right.
Well, probably.
So is this supposed to take care of it forever? Or is it something where it's like, well, when it comes back, I have the arsenal, I'll handle it real quick?
I think it's more of the second. This type of issue would come up with a conflict within yourself, typically. So that's how it comes out. But it always comes out in crazy dreams. So like I'll dream for, I said like years. I've had a dream where I was in a dream for like 100 years. I woke up the next morning, I didn't know what the fuck reality was. And you're laughing? Okay.
It's like that Rick and Morty game.
This is 10 years before I tried a single drug. I never drank, never smoked, didn't do anything. Like none of that stuff. Totally sober, at least chemically normal, right? Happened all the time. Always have crazy dreams.
Yeah, I've never had anything that horrible. When I was little, I had a recurring nightmare that I was late for school, and like, you know how you're leaving you leave the kitchen through the garage, and like you hit the thing and it starts closing the garage door, and you have to run and like jump over the little sensor and get outside. It was a very short dream. I would run, I would trip, and then my head would be crushed by the garage door closing.
So bad. Which could never happen, as we all know.
No, it would have stood. The garage door would have broken.
I
and
didn't
like
even think of the head.
Even like, and I never really thought about this. Like in the dream, I remember like the reason I tripped is because I was like, I have to jump over the sensor, but then like the thought of the sensor disappeared when I fell down, and then like it comes down way faster. Crushed my head. I haven't had that since I was a child. Yeah, but yours.
So did you feel it though?
Worse.
Like in your dreams, do you feel things? Like when you get cut or burnt or hit or something, do you like feel it?
Sometimes I do.
don't.
Sometimes I don't.
I never feel
I
it.
usually will. Sometimes I'll do that thing where I like try to pinch myself on the leg or the arm to try to determine whether I am in a dream, and I'm like, well, I hurt a little. Like how much is it supposed to hurt? You know, like I've literally had that thought so many times where it's like, well, that hurts a little. I mean, how often do you pinch yourself in real life, though? Right? Like
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
If I start like slow walking, that's when I'll know I'm in the dream. You know, like if you're trying to get somewhere quickly and it's taking an eon to walk, and every step feels like you're exhausted. That's when I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming.
Gun stuff is really interesting, right? If I need to like shoot some kind of a monster or something with a gun, I can't pull the trigger. Like it takes so much effort to pull the trigger. And forget about like finding enough bullets to actually load a gun. Like I'll have a pile of mismatched bullets and like 8 guns. And like by the time I do this sort of like okay, I got 1 of these and 3 of those and 2 of these and 4 of these, I have 1 bullet and 1 gun, and the bullet won't go in the gun. Like it's just a nightmare. And then I wake up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your hands don't work right. Your body doesn't work right. The slow punch is something everyone's experienced. I feel like it
just doesn't happen.
Where you're just getting the shit kicked out of you because you're just too slow. To
almost
connect.
Always have like the slow-mo fighting technique and the guns that don't work. And sometimes the trigger will be so hard to pull that I'll get my second index finger in the trigger guard and I'm literally going, ah! I'm doing like
you ever wake up like that?
You know those hand exercises? Like I'm doing basically like, so it's, you know, like 250 pounds or something to like pull this trigger, and I can't fucking pull it to like shoot the monster or whatever the fuck it is. And that's got to be like some sort of mental thing, right? That's got to be some sort of like not being prepared for
like an inability to react to a threat. Like that's something everybody's fearful of. So
sure,
makes sense.
Sure.
Did you ever like have fun dreams? Or are they all horrible? Oh, that's good.
I would say it's about 99 to 1 horrible to fun, but I have fun dreams. I have normal ones, late for class, school stuff, but my average dream is waking up in some sort of scenario that you'd probably see in a movie.
That would make me like so stressed to even try and fall asleep if I was dealing with that all the time.
When I was in college, I basically didn't sleep.
You know, since you know, have you told these things to your medical doctor? You know, the one because it does seem coincidental that you have both.
Derek knows
this
the other guys
medical
know.
Condition that no one can put a finger on, and you've also got like what sounds like one of the Freddy Krueger movies going on as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's not an external thing to my head, but it's problematic to deal with on vacation.
Pretty sure is the phrase I would use. Yeah.
But no, I've told my medical doctors it's something, well, as it is needed. In the case of working with Derek and his team, they know. I kind of gave them a rundown on some of that stuff. So yeah, it's not something I keep secret. I literally did a whole series about this on my channel, like 25 videos. I have more coming this Halloween because they're scary stories and stuff. But it's a weird experience to basically wake up in a movie indefinitely, years.
You're an
months,
interesting
weeks,
study
whatever.
for hallucinogens, though, right?
I've never done a hallucinogen, so I don't know.
Ooh.
And marijuana doesn't really affect this one way
Oh yeah,
or
that
the
doesn't
other.
count. That's like the mildest of hallucinogens. Like I don't know, like colors might look a little brighter to you. It's about as intense as marijuana gets. But like LSD or DMT or mushrooms or something would be interesting. Maybe I don't know, especially DMT, the way that's described. I want to do DMT. It
A
sounds
little
so
bit
scary.
scared, given the information I've just given you. The odds of me going on a not so great trip are a little bit higher than I.
Yeah,
think
you're gonna go to a scary place, but it'd be cool.
But it's 15
a cool scary place. Yeah.
You can do anything for 15 minutes.
Yeah, but it's time dilation, and he's already seemed to experience some. He says he's experienced some ridiculous form of time dilation in his dreams.
Yeah.
So like he could take DMT and never come back.
He's just permanently there.
When he comes back, he doesn't know English anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't want to do that.
I understand time dilation, but somehow I'm like, but it's bullshit. It's 15 minutes.
but it's perceived.
You will get to the other side.
Yeah, it's perception. It's not literal.
But you guys have never experienced anything like that? I just hit you with some crazy shit here in the middle of the show.
No, that sounds real scary. What you've got going on. I wish you the best with it, though.
Okay. Oh no, it's sorted. I've
that
got that
literally
fucking
sounds
thing
like
sorted
demons.
out. I used to think it was when I was in high school or in college. I used to think it was a demon that I'd have to deal with every day.
I think 5% it is. 5%.
5% chance. Like 1 out of 20, baby.
People are too quick to rule out demons. Woody's always like, no way, it's demons because those aren't real. And I'm just like, yeah, probably. You got to leave a little bit of a chance in there that it's demons. There's
no evidence that there are demons.
I mean, there's no evidence that there are demons, and there's no evidence that there aren't demons.
Well, that
doesn't make those equal.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
each other.
There's no evidence that goldfish don't fly when you're not looking.
But aside from demons, you've
I've
never
seen
had
those
a
flying
dream
fish,
mirror
though. You've
reality.
seen those, right? The ones that like come out, and those can go for a couple hundred meters with the wind.